Live on iHeartRadio. God, can I say that on his show? Live on iHeartRadio and the Smoke and Mirrors Network. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we talk with Steve Garrett, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City and host of the Corvette Today podcast. We'll get all that straightened out when we talk to him in just a second. I drove the 2024 Chevy GMC Sierra 2500 Diesel Ultimate Premium Deluxe, and I'll give you my impression of it. We'll also have the cruise-in calendar. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and I'll bring you the stories making automotive news headlines, all just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, we always need more, Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday. And we're going to get right to it because I've been really excited about talking to Steve Garrett, host of Corvette Today, the podcast, and president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City. And that would be KCFX 101 The Fox. How did I do? Did I do okay?
You did a great job, Don. Thank you very much. It's great to be on your show.
Well, thank you. And I want to be your announcer. Can I be your booth announcer and announce your show or something?
We can always use a fresh voice. That'd be awesome.
Okay, well, anytime.
And Don is very fresh.
Yeah. Anytime you just let me know when you need something and I'll send it your way.
You got it.
At no charge. We'll do a trade. How's that?
I love it.
Yeah, I figured you would because all of us guys love trades. So, first of all, let's do a little background on Steve Garrett. Are you a Kansas Cityan?
I'm a born and raised Kansas Cityan, Don.
A Kansas Cityan. Is that the way you say it? Kansas Cityan?
We're a Kansas Cityan, yes.
Very
like
nice.
You're a Houstonian.
Yeah, and matter of fact, so my broadcasting career has all been in Houston. Yours in Kansas City.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that I have a very good friend of mine that I went to grade school, middle school, and high school with. Her name is Candace Sneed, and she and her husband own Sneed Ford. Is it in Gower? Gower? Is that familiar? Are you familiar with Gower?
Gower, Missouri. Yes. I know where that is.
Okay. Well, apparently today they're having Bigfoot make an appearance out there at their dealership. I know. But at any rate, back to you. So how long have you been in broadcasting?
Don, I've been in broadcasting since 1978. I've been 46 years on the radio in Kansas City. I'm probably the longest tenured jock on the radio in Kansas City, Missouri.
You look 13.
I thought you were going to say you look tenured.
I thought I was going to say you got a face for radio.
A great face for radio. I've always been told that, guys.
No, actually, you're a very handsome guy, and we appreciate you very much, especially with that balding head. Because, well,
hey,
bald head.
I resemble that remark.
Hey.
Conrad's headed that direction, and Jeff's gotten there.
He's not bald. He just has an extremely wide part.
Hey, grass does not grow on busy streets.
That's right.
That's right.
So, are you on the air live?
Yes, I actually am on the air live. I do Saturday and Sunday middays in Kansas City, which is 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. And we are live on air every day now. All of our jocks are back in live.
And they all go into the studio to do the show.
They absolutely do. We have one of those old-timer program directors that believes in old school type radio, and we are back on the air live. You can
but that's so much fun to be in there and with all of your comrades that are there with you. And I miss those days. We had a full staff radio
hollering
station.
at the producer, and
well, not so much hollering at the producer
or the engineer.
I would imagine he produces his own show as a jock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was
yes.
mainly news talk, so we had a producer, but we didn't belittle them or berate them because they were part of the show, really.
That's right. It's 101 The Fox. It's the number one radio station in Kansas City. It's classic rock, and it's the number one classic rock radio station in the United States.
I'm surprised that they don't have a feed down here because I think we have Cumulus stations here in the Houston area.
Yeah, we do.
I'm not sure, but it's 101thefox.net. You can listen worldwide.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know. Well, so everybody's going, well, so why is this guy on the air with you to talk about radio?
Yeah,
well,
why is
that's
that?
kind of
Well,
like
look at what's on his shirt.
Corvette spaghetti
today.
stain.
Corvette.
Spaghetti stain.
Yes. a spaghetti stain. You didn't have spaghetti last night, I'm sure.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Shoot, I didn't look.
But no, Steve is also, as I mentioned, I think, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City. And
Yes.
I assume that you own a Corvette or two or three or four?
Yes, sir. I started out in 2013 with a brand new torch red C7 Stingray. And I called it the carbon fiber edition, guys, because I had carbon fiber on the interior, exterior, and engine bay. Anything that was black or black metallic was turned to carbon fiber.
So in other words, you spent a wad of money doing all of
ton of
this.
money.
Oh, believe me, I know all about
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, because I'm a
Yeah, and
Corvette guy too.
I sold that car because Hendrick Chevrolet in Kansas City is our sponsor, our corporate sponsor of the Corvette Club of Kansas City. And they said, Steve, we've got a 70th anniversary car coming in. We actually have 3 of them. Would you like one of them? And I said, what's the spec? And I took the white pearl metallic coupe so I could see the engine in the back, but I've turned all the black or silver, brushed silver, into carbon fiber on that. So I own a 70th anniversary 2023 C8 Stingray coupe.
I got
how cool is that?
I've got to ask the question: did you buy the car? Or did they give you the car?
Oh, Don, from your lips to God's ears, I would love that, but no, I did buy the car.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Such a deal we've got for you, Steve. Come on down.
Such a deal.
So from one who's had both of them, which did you prefer, the front engine or the mid-engine?
You know, it's interesting you asked that because I loved my C7 because it was a manual transmission.
Oh, yeah.
All my car guys said, Steve, if you get this car, for the love of God, do not get an automatic. Get a 3-pedal car. And it was great. But you know what? To answer your question, it's a totally different drive. You know, you could feel that engine underneath your feet. You're raking through gears. You felt at one with the car. With the C8, it's smooth. It's refined. You can hear the engine from the back, but you're paddle shifting. So it's a great drive. I love the car, but I really do miss raking gears and feeling that engine underneath my feet.
Interesting.
Well, I know the
About that.
feeling because I have
Yeah.
I have a C5 that has a 6-speed manual in it. Of course,
There
it's
you
only
go.
got 35,000 miles on it, but you know, I baby it and take very good care of it. Maybe I'll make a special trip up there to see you guys.
So, Steve, is that
That'd be great.
Steve, is that your daily driver?
It is a daily driver in the spring, summer, and fall. Absolutely. I do have another car as a daily driver. I own an Acura TLX A-Spec car, and I love that car. I've been an Acura guy, since 1990, I think, something like that.
Well, you
So
ought to be pacing the Indy 500 with Chevrolets and Hondas.
I would love to do that, Don. That would be a great idea.
I think it would be a great idea as well. Well, you need to get your show somewhere in Indianapolis radio, and I think that we could make that happen.
Well, you know, Corvette Today is actually heard around the world. So if you were talking about Corvette Today, that's great. You know, if you're talking about the radio show, again, it's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time, and 101thefox.net is our URL. So it's actually able to listen to it all over.
So what do you talk about on the podcast?
Corvette Today was born out of COVID. I was furloughed from my day job during the week in late March of 2020. And believe it or not, it was my daughter that said, Dad, do a podcast. If you're looking for something to do, podcast is hot right
And
now.
you said to her, "What's a podcast, honey?"
And she said, you're the president of the Corvette Club. You love Corvettes. You could sell Corvettes if you wanted to. I was the moderator one time at CorvetteForum.com. She said, do a podcast about Corvettes. And she said, you know what? I said, that has some legs to it, maybe. So I started researching how many podcasts are out there on Corvette. And believe it or not, guys, there was nothing current out there. And I thought, you know what? There's my opening. So I started Corvette Today in mid-April of 2020. Corvette Today is now in its 4th year. There's 170 plus episodes out there at CorvetteToday.com. Every other week, I do a news and headline show, and believe it or not, there's enough news about Corvette in the world of Corvette to do a news and headline show every other week. During those off weeks, I interview A-list people in the world of Corvette. Harlan Charles, who is the brand manager for Corvette, has been a frequent guest on my show. Josh Holder, the chief engineer for Corvette, has been a frequent guest on my show. Also, Taj Juchter, the executive chief engineer, has been on the show. As a matter of fact, guys, this is a first in the world of Corvette. During the National Corvette Museum birthday celebration, they call it the NCM Bash. That is always in late April in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the National Corvette Museum. I had Josh Holder, Taj Juchter, and Harlan Charles on my show. And that is a first in the world of Corvette. No, that's never happened before. All three of those guys have never been on a show before together, ever. And what I did was I put out on midenginecorvetteforum.com and also corvetteforum.com. These guys will answer your questions. I got questions from the audience, basically, and those guys spent an hour answering questions from everybody in the world of Corvette. It was a fabulous show. If you go to CorvetteToday.com, look at the end of April, the last week of April, you'll find that show, and you can watch it or listen to it because you'll see those guys on the YouTube video as well.
Oh, how cool.
That is very cool. Do you do lots of cruise-ins and car shows and that sort of stuff in the Kansas City area?
We do. The Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri is the oldest and largest Corvette club in the area. We have over 300 members in our club. It's been going since July of 1960. So we do we have 3 events this weekend alone. So we're a very, very busy
What
group.
are you doing sitting there talking to us?
I know. But we have been around. I've been the president of the club almost 9 years now, I think it is.
9 years running. There's no term limits to your tenure?
No, there's no term limits, Don, but I've been doing this for 8 or 9 years now and absolutely love it. We have a great group of people. You know, you join because of the car and you stay because of the people. So many of my close friends in life are from
Absolutely.
The world of,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I totally get it. As a matter of fact, when I first joined the Corvette Club in 1977, don't tell everybody, 1977, I have a very close couple that I still am in touch with, see frequently. They're no longer in the Corvette Club, although Bill does own a Corvette. And great friends, lifelong friends, and I know how that goes. You know, and if it weren't for the Corvette, I probably wouldn't know these 3 guys that I'm sitting here with. And, you know, it's not necessarily the Corvette itself. It's the appreciation of others that like cars in a general broad sense of the term, because I have met some wonderful people that aren't even in a club per se that I've been with, if you will, for quite some time, that are friends of mine that, you know, one of them owns a 38 Ford, for instance.
Wow.
When we make our appearance every year at Autorama, which is, I'm sure you're familiar with World of Wheels, Autorama, that sort of thing. We have lots of friends there. Craig Bierman, who's a very close friend of mine who owns a chrome plating company here. I met him in about 1977, 78, something like that. And that friendship goes back to then all because he owned a hot rod shop at the time. And so I bought parts from him back then. So, you know, it all kind of all flows together. And realistically, I guess it goes back earlier than that because I used to work for a Chevrolet dealership here when I was in high school and after school. So, I mean, you know, the whole car thing has been really a second career for me in a way.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm sure that you can relate to all that.
Absolutely. You know, we meet so many people that love Corvettes or just appreciate the car for what it is. This is the 70th anniversary of the car. It was born in June of 1953, and we're celebrating 70 years of Corvette in high style, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So what are you going to have on? Now, you're going to be on the radio this afternoon.
Yes, I will be on the radio Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time. And again, the website is 101thefox.net. You can listen worldwide, and you can tune in Corvette Today on the website at CorvetteToday.com. You can join the YouTube group. You can sign up for that. You can listen to the podcast. I have a Corvette Today merchandise store. We also have a Corvette Today.
He's
Facebook
got
group.
merch.
He's got merch.
We have merch. Yes, we do. You can sign up to be in the Corvette Today Facebook group, and we have emails that go out twice per week about what's going on Corvette Today, the current podcast, and then next week's show as well. So you can do everything at CorvetteToday.com or CorvetteTodayPodcast.com.
You know, when I asked you off the air about whether or not you're on iHeartRadio, you said no because you work for Cumulus, which is really a competitor of iHeart. And it's like, guess what? Now you can say you're on iHeart with us.
Exactly.
So we'll promote you, you promote us, and we'll call it a wash.
And make the checkout
That works.
Yeah.
Corvette Today is on iHeartRadio, so you can listen to Corvette Today on iHeart. That's for sure.
That's it. Okay. Well, so I want you to know that I was truthful about saying to you that, you know, if you want to do any voice trades anytime, you just let me know.
I will. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's Don at InWheelTime.com.
Got it.
Steve, it's a pleasure, honor, and really a lot of fun to talk to you, sir.
Guys, thank you so much for letting me be on the show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on your show. I've known about In Wheel Time for a long time. It's an honor for me. It's a highlight of one of my careers to be on your show. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you again soon. Steve Garrett, host of Corvette Today.
Very cool.
President of the Corvette Club of Kansas City. And the big gun there at the Fox, KCFX 101.
We need to connect him with George Skelton. Steve may have an interest in hearing some of the stories about Betty Skelton and her history with Corvette.
That's a good point.
Exactly. So there you go, Steve. Yeah, look up Betty Skelton, and I think that you'll be pretty amazed. She is a deceased now, but was at one time a big Corvette person.
Yeah, a lot of media stuff.
Worked for Chevrolet and Corvette.
Yeah. All right, time now for the cruise-in calendar. And as always, Conrad has put together a little list for us.
So tonight is Nifty 50s at 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. up in the Woodlands off of 2250 Buckthorn Place. Also tonight is Car, Truck, and Bike Show at the Crazy Girl Saloon.
Hey.
Figure you'd like
Where is that?
FM 1960 Bypass in Humble.
Okay.
And it's an open show. Houston Car Meets will be at 6425 Long Drive in Houston tonight, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. The Bear Creek Car Show is this afternoon, 4 to 7 p.m. In Bear Creek at 6345 Greenhouse Road in Katy. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow is the Cars and Cocktails at Little Woodrow's in Tomball.
Still don't understand how you do that. Cars and cocktails.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to do it respectfully. Chaos Forest Cruise at leaving at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning from Buc-ee's and Waller's, and they're going to cruise up through like Lake Somerville area and stuff.
That'd be nice.
Which is a good cruise in a car. You know, it's a fun little drive. And then Tokyo House Street Expo at M&S America off of 6942 Signet in Houston, and Don's crackling paper while I'm talking.
Conrad, knock it off.
And then also tomorrow at 5 p.m. is the Shitbox Cruiser Meet.
Uh-oh.
You can't say that on the radio.
Well, this is in Beaumont.
Oh.
You can't say Beaumont either.
No, you don't say Beaumont. That's Mars territory over there, and only they would come up with a name like that.
And that's the cruise-ins I have for this week.
Thank goodness that's over with. Okay. Time now for this hour's car review. And this is the vehicle that the Zekins and I went to the Granbury Remote a couple of weeks ago.
It's huge.
It's the 2024 GMC Sierra 2500. Here are the trim levels. It's available in the Pro, which is basically the work truck, the SLE, the SLT, the AT4, and the Denali. What did I have? The Denali Ultimate four-wheel drive diesel. It's like a freight train.
It is.
It's like a locomotive.
Oh, yeah.
What size and what class?
Big.
Great big 3/4-ton pick-em-up truck. I don't know how else to put that.
Ginormous.
Seats 5, including the driver. Exterior changes from last model year, introduced in 2020. Of course, you know they do tweaks every model year, and I didn't drill it down that deeply, but it's big.
You didn't tweak it?
I didn't. Exterior features, huge. The top of the hood, standing next to it, the top of the hood is at my chin. I'm 6'1". Do the math. This thing is that big. That's just the top of the hood. The hood is almost 6 feet off the ground. Unbelievable. Massive grille. It changes character with the trim level.
But it's got a sturdy truck look to it.
Oh, my God.
Some of the trucks don't have the
Sturdy
truck
isn't
look
the
anymore.
word.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It is massive. Black plastic wheel opening moldings on this that really kind of highlights the wheel openings, unless, of course, you get a black truck. Who would do that?
Yeah.
Get the multi-use tailgate. This one came with that.
It's nice.
That multi-use tailgate is the bomb, I'm telling you. What I liked, its largeness. Is largeness a word?
It is now.
It is. Well, we just coined that phrase. This thing,
I've heard it before.
you saw it. You saw it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, it's big. What could use improvement? Okay. How about the performance look with the gasoline motor? Because that's an option, the gasoline motor. I don't know. What could use improvement on something like this? It is a purpose-built 3/4-ton massive hauler, either in the bed or tow behind.
With an ultimate luxury package.
Correct. That's
That's part of
true.
Denali.
Yeah.
And
Well, let's
the
just talk
Ultimates.
about
very
that
soft.
as a matter of fact. The interior highlights, dash looks like a 747 control panel with attractive stitching on the dash pad itself, on the Denali, which is what I had. Stop yawning. Wood trim highlights on the Denali. Functional infotainment system that's easy to use, and it's got a nice big screen in it, too. Surround cameras help when maneuvering in tight spots. And let me tell you something. It doesn't make any difference what size the parking spot. It's going to take up all of it and more.
It did.
It
certainly
will
did.
not fit in a regular parking space. Side to side, yeah, barely.
But lengthwise.
So lengthwise,
So you're not going to put it in your garage.
Not in a normal
absolutely
Unless
garage.
you got
not.
a garage you can fit it.
2 bed lengths are available: the 6 foot and 6 foot 8 inches, or the 8 foot 1 inch. I think this one had the 8 foot 1 inch.
It was
This
huge.
is massive. What I liked about it, its hugeness. What could use improvement? I think a dump truck bed option would be good.
Oh.
What do you? Don't laugh.
On a Denali.
Yeah, on a Denali. I got to go deliver some rocks over in Vider. So I'm going to take my dump truck part of it. Anyway,
You better call Mike.
this had a 6.6 liter turbo diesel with 445 horsepower and 910 pound-feet of torque.
It's a monster.
But it is not the top of the class when it comes to just that.
Power.
Power.
Yep.
I think that there is a nice compromise between the Chevy and others like it, because the Chevy doesn't go crazy
Or
with it.
GMC.
I'm sorry, GMC. It's no difference.
There is to the people who were
I know.
selling them.
It goes down the same dang assembly line.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Tow rating, 18,500 pounds. Can you say house behind you?
Mm-hmm.
Haul rating, 3,579 pounds. Now, miles per gallon is not rated by the EPA.
So that'll haul a lot of donkey.
A lot of donkey.
A lot of
a
big
lot
donkey.
of donkeys.
A lot of big donkey.
Monty.
Monty, the singing donkey. 3/4 ton is not rated by the EPA. What did I get? With its 36-gallon fuel tank, I got 15.3 miles per gallon, over 793.5 miles to Granbury and back, plus work miles on the tollway.
That's pretty good for a monster truck.
It is. It truly is. What I liked about the engine package, holy power is what I put down here.
No, I love the D-Max. The Duramax is such a well thought out diesel engine as it applies to an automotive-sized truck.
Ride and handling, better than expected for a 3/4 ton, but it is stiff with no load in it. If I would have put 1,000 pounds worth of cement bags in the back of it, I think it would have tamed that down a little bit.
Yeah,
but
probably.
I didn't, because this is built to haul stuff. So you're going to have a suspension that isn't quite
Designed
pliable.
for hauling. Yeah.
Let me put it that way. What could use improvement? Why not? Are we keeping you awake this morning?
No, I'm just waiting for the
Important
exciting
stuff.
part.
Thank you. What could use improvement? How about an adjustable suspension? They've got airbag suspensions on big dump trucks. Why not put one on this?
Well, I think they do on the half-ton with the magnetic ride control, but I don't.
But
think,
it's still got a spring.
yeah, but I don't
Yeah,
think you can
but
get magnetic ride control on the 3/4.
I'm
No,
not
because
talking
it
about-
won't carry the load.
But a bagged suspension will. Because they make bag suspensions for those great big, humongous trailer trucks with it, the haul rocks and
Well,
stuff.
some of the guys that are pushing up, the 20 and 24-inch lifts on the 3/4 ton trucks, they're using airbags in that
So
suspension
maybe it's
kit.
something for GM to consider.
And what about the dually? The dually has it. Or does
the
it?
dually, I think,
The
is
shoes
way
in
over.
Granbury.
The dually is way overrated, I believe.
I got it.
I got it too.
Because it really doesn't add that much to its capability.
Well, dually is functional for a certain level of towing. That's what you need because you need that
fifth wheel.
traction and the ability to carry that weight on the bed of the vehicle.
In the fifth wheel option.
Okay, here we go. So the base trim price
Oh, here we go.
is $91,900
for the Denali.
for the Denali.
Base.
Price is tested $94,835. Now you can get into a 3/4 ton for $46,600. That's not with the diesel though. $46,600. Now here are the competitors. The Ford 3/4 ton, $43,035. The Ram is $49,000 and the Chevy is $46,900. And I'd like to thank General Motors and GMC for letting us take it to Granbury, which was a 575-mile round trip. So that's my review of the 2024 GMC Sierra 2500. The NWL Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for NWL Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and NWLTime.com. And podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The NWL Time Car Talk Show continues after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Doug Schaefer, Allison Division of General Motors, auto parts, packaging, shipping, the kind of the backstory on what you do, how you get your parts. Does that kind of sum it up? Yeah.
Not only that, Mr. Schaefer is my cousin.
I am so sorry,
Mr.
Schaefer.
He didn't admit to that when I was talking to him,
Well,
Jeff.
not many people do.
No, I would.
But he doesn't want to get boxed in.
There you go.
So to speak. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin.
Yep.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday for our live version of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. All of the boys are together in the studio today, and we're trying to keep it cool in here because I'll tell you what, it's been just a little toasty here in the Houston area. 100-degree days with feels like temperatures of 115. And we got a whole another week of it to go.
Yesterday was a 3-panty day.
What?
A 3-panty day.
It was so sweaty outside, you had to change often.
I don't get it.
I don't want to get it.
Come on, Mars, play the game.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, obviously he's preoccupied with something.
I'm checking audio over here right now.
Yeah, right. Okay. Whatever excuse you can come up with to get out of that.
Thank you.
Joining us now, Doug Schaefer, retired General Motors, Allison Division, Auto Parts, Packaging, and Shipping. Doug, howdy, good morning, and welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome to the car insanity called In Wheel Time.
Good morning.
We know we bring in.
I'm sorry?
Pardon? Good morning. And because Jeff is my cousin, I can harass him a little bit.
There you go.
I think he ought to be wearing a hat because the glare is a little too much.
I got a coonskin cap back
That's
here.
the voice of experience, I see.
Yes. Backing up to your first caller about the Corvette Club, Jeff's oldest sister, Pat, when I graduated out of high school, her husband had a Corvette. I think it was a 62.
Yep.
We had a graduation party, and he had given me the keys and said, you can have it tonight, bring it back tomorrow, clean, and with a full tank of gas. And I drove the hell out of it.
All night long, huh?
All night long.
Well, I'm waiting for the follow-up to that. I mean,
Oh, no.
did you Zoom any girls in it, or I mean, what was the deal?
I was going too fast to pick up any women.
Going too
I was
fast.
going from traffic light to traffic light as fast as I could.
I'm sure you were. In 1962, that probably wasn't that fast, but just,
No,
For the
sorry,
day.
it
For
wasn't.
the day it was.
I guess so. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it had like a 283 with a 2-barrel or 4-barrel on it. I can't remember.
Yeah. So
It
Doug,
definitely wasn't quick. But, you're sitting in a 2-seat car. You're 6 inches off the ground. It seems like you're going fast.
oh, absolutely.
yeah.
It still does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Doug, retired from General Motors. How long did you work for GM?
32 and a half years.
Yeah. And you worked for the Allison division. Now, when I think of
I worked for-
Allison, I think of Allison Transmissions.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
it.
And
The best transmission in any GM product, period.
yeah. What was the location where you worked?
Well, when I first started out, I was hired in as a bench and line inspector because I could read a blueprint and knew how to handle a micrometer. And was at bench and line. I got moved up to receiving inspection, salvage, utility man. Then I went on salary after 7 years. But I started out in the Detroit plant. And after 7 years, I went on salary. And they sent me out to the parts warehouse, which was in Romulus, Michigan.
Know it well.
Isn't that by
And
is that by the airport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, there's Willow Run. Willow Run was the original Detroit airport, and then they built the international airport. And we were kind of like right in between. And, you talk about transmissions. One of the things that when I worked for them, General Motors developed the first automatic electronic shift transmission. And we could not build those fast enough and get them out the door for people. They were supposedly a truck driver was getting roughly 7 miles per gallon out of a manual transmission. Put this automatic in there, you were getting around 12. That was huge for a truck driver. Also, you didn't have to keep switching out clutches. So that was one of the big things for the Allison transmission.
How many
Allison
speeds did that transmission have?
At the time, I think it was only maybe 5.
5 speeds.
I'm not absolutely sure about that, but I think it was about 5.
Yeah. So truck transmissions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big truck
Well,
transmissions.
that's where Allison built its brand, was doing transmissions for medium and heavy duty trucks.
So was
big boys.
Allison was an independent company and GM bought them? Is that how that transpired?
Yeah. Roger Penske came in and he wanted to buy part of the deal. We had what was called a Silver 92 engine. And, we had the big, huge diesels, the 671, the 871, the 1671, and, the big diesel engines, the ones that go in electric motor trains.
Yes.
And he come in because he had a deal, I believe, with like UPS to put these, to build some trucks with these engines and transmissions in them. And at that point, GM took a look and said, maybe we need to get out of this business or merge. So they wound up merging with Allison Transmission. And at that point, I got transferred down to Indianapolis. The other thing Allison did too that people don't realize is they built aircraft engines. And Jay Leno has a motorcycle that has a jet engine in it. I believe that is one of our jet engines in that. We were making helicopter engines for the Hueys for a while there during Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, back to I got transferred down to Indianapolis. And before I went down to Indianapolis, getting back to Detroit Diesel, the parts warehouse out there, we became the world's largest automated warehouse. We were there years before Amazon. I have you can't really see this picture. Can you see this picture at all?
Yeah, we can
bit,
see it.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. This picture's, I think, 35 years old, and it's been up in my garage attic. But this shows you how it is. The way everything went through that plant, we had there was 21 miles of conveyor belts in that place.
Well,
And the noise was so bad that the union complained they had to come in and build ducting, like for your furnace and heating around the conveyors, so to quiet it down because the noise was so loud.
sure, baffles.
Well, I'm amazed. The union complained. I couldn't imagine the union would complain about
Can you
something.
believe that?
Yeah. Okay, so let's drill it down to you and your career now. Let's move on. And so is Allison still in business in Indianapolis?
Yes, they are.
They are.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're
Now,
going gangbusters.
are you living there?
No.
You moved back to Detroit?
Originally from Detroit, transferred down to Indianapolis, got tired of the upper management BS. After 32 and a half years, I retired. And naturally, I used to live in El Paso for a while. I loved Texas.
Everybody does.
We came down here 3 years before I retired looking for a place to live. We drove through Texas. We came. Houston's got a traffic problem. I love Houston. Galveston was too expensive for me at the time. Came down to Corpus, kind of like Corpus, went down to Brownsville. Now, my wife, I don't want to call her a witch, but she has ESP.
They all do.
And, we drove into town and she said, we got to get out of here. There's something wrong with this city. So we drove up to McAllen, and I really like McAllen, except it's too close to the border.
It is.
And then we went into New Mexico. My wife always liked New Mexico. We looked in New Mexico and didn't see anything that we liked there. Now, my wife's originally from Oklahoma, so we looped back to Oklahoma, visited relatives there, and came back. Decided to move here because I ran across a good deal on a house. I'm out on North Padre Island. I'm on a canal. And at the time, I think I only paid like $180,000 for the house. The house now is worth probably over $500,000.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to
Padre
you
Island.
and your Allison division. So you turned into the packaging shipping department for a career.
Not me. I worked with those guys. We were in the order department, and right behind us there was a doorway. But two of the people that worked there, I managed the baseball team, used to play ball for me. They got transferred down to Indianapolis too. And that had become a leader. That was the world's best packaging engineering lab in the United States at the time. And they did everything. You drop boxes, you kick boxes, you try and all the controlled things that they had in their lab. They would occasionally take something and have a truck driver come out and throw it out in the aisleway and see how bad he could damage the box. And people don't realize everything you touch. How about a Pringles can? Who designed a Pringles can?
Allison.
I got it's a good possibility, but the way the box is made, what's it going to contain? People don't realize. You look at a pizza box. He had that guy, Jared, whoever it was the fastest folding box guy in the United States or whatever. Did anybody take a look at the box, how it was made so he could take and fold that so everything fit, bang, 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 bang? Nobody thinks of that.
So how many boxes do you think they produced, and was it strictly for one part or all the parts?
We basically bought, and you got to say you can't say cardboard. You got to say corrugated.
I didn't know that.
We would buy that by the bulk, and we had machines that would cut it and make up the different size. We basically had, I would say, maybe 8 or 10 standard type containers, and they would go on and design and make other things. The thing that amazes me, I go to buy some glue to put something together.
Yeah.
Do you ever think of the side, the container?
Look at that.
This seal right here where they put the cardboard together, try and peel that apart. You can't do it. What's the glue? I want that glue.
Yeah, you can't buy that across the
When I'm
counter.
building it, when I'm building something, or I need to glue something.
Well, they wouldn't sell it to me because they were afraid I'd get high on
Yeah,
it.
you'd be sniffing it.
Yeah, sniffing the
Either
glue.
that or you'd stick yourself to something you couldn't get off.
Yeah, what happened here? I can't get my fingers apart.
Well, your fingers would be the least of your worries.
But seriously, back when I was a kid, I used to put models together, and that's before I put tons and tons of car models together.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's
And-
wrong with us today, sir.
Testers.
Yeah,
That is absolutely correct.
Doug,
That is absolutely correct.
Doug.
That's why they liked it, because you'd catch a buzz putting a car model
There you
together,
go.
sitting there working over it, gluing everything together.
That's why the union complained.
That's it. Doug, it's great to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. We love the story. And
Thank you.
Love you, cuz.
Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your retirement, sir.
Hey, did
Thank
Jeff
you, I
ever
will.
did Jeff ever ask you for a job?
No, But when he used to come down and visit me when he worked for a different company, when I
down
when
in
he was
Corpus.
down in the neighborhood.
With ATD, absolutely. We
Yeah.
drank beer together. It's all good.
Yeah, we did.
All right, Doug. Well, go have yourself a beer and enjoy the rest of the day, sir. Stay cool.
Thank you. Catch you later. Get a hat, Jeff.
All right,
Jeff.
I will.
Get a
I'll
hat,
put the
Jeff. That's got to be
coonskin
his
cap
next
on
name.
behind me. There you go.
So if you haven't discovered it yet, you're riding with us here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. I happen to have a very interesting sold cars roundup from Hemmings. Of course, I always have to talk about the Corvettes first, and let's start with the 1976 Corvette that sold at auction online a couple of weeks ago through Hemmings, and the sold price. We're guessing the price. Would anybody like to?
77 Hemmings.
77 Chevrolet Corvette coupe.
17,000.
Close.
20.
15,225. Absolutely no horsepower whatsoever. But
Gutless wonder.
Not much style
If
either.
it had horsepower, it'd go for
actually,
17.
no, I still like the style. It has the old Mako Shark thing that came out in,
I don't like the
68?
rear end of them. That's the problem.
Well, you can change that. You can do anything you want to because it's old and it's only $15,000. How about a
That's the
19?
Kardashian one.
How
You can
about a
change it.
1972 Chevy Chevelle?
Ooh, 60.
Yeah.
No, it
Now,
says
this-
it doesn't
well,
say. It doesn't say.
Is it an
it
SS?
says
Oh, it matters.
He's going to
it
tell
says SS on the grill. My guess is it is a clone because it only sold for $34,125.
Oh.
That would be my guess because I think a real 72 SS would be a lot more
Yeah.
than 34,000.
And you wouldn't want to drive a real SS on the street very much just because of idiots out there driving around.
Well, not only that, but the road nicks and dents
Right.
and whiskey dents and all that.
Here's one for you, sir. A 1977 Datsun 280Z. What do you think? And it's still together. We don't know what the rust is like underneath it. But 77 Datsun 280Z.
21.
10,000.
12.
29,
Oh.
715.
Oh,
So
well.
it must be a pretty much of a cream pie. It's what I could think of.
Cream puff.
Chevy Monte Carlo, 1973 model, with the Landau top.
That was the first year for the design change for
Yeah,
Monte
okay.
Carlo.
And so, what would you think that sells?
$8,000.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
14.
8.
10,495
Oh, must be
for
in
a
good shape.
73. Well, it looks that way. Again, we can't tell. It's only one picture on it, but it looks pretty good. But
Didn't
it's
they-
brown.
Didn't they make a back bubble or a fastback out of glass on some of those Monties?
Yeah,
Back
but
in
that
the-
wasn't
later.
until the 80s.
That was
And
the NASCAR.
Those-
thing,
yeah.
Here's one for you old timers that appreciate antiques.
With these two guys?
You old timers. We old timers.
1930 Ford Model A. What would you guess that would go for?
27.
Are you saying
stop
Model
it- Model A. Stop and think about it. Okay, it's not the original paint. It's not original. It's
Is it hot rodded or
no,
just,
it does not look like it's hot rodded. Got wire wheels.
I'm going to go for 14.
12,000.
22?
13,125.
Ooh,
Very good.
yeah.
Very good. And that kind of amazes me that you can go out today and buy a 1930 Ford Model A. It looks pretty good. With its flathead 4-cylinder engine.
Vroom.
$13,000. So you could get into the sport if you wanted to.
Well, Kylie's learning how to drive, and she's looking.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
probably not the car for her.
No. Here's one, perhaps a 2002 Jeep Wrangler. 2002.
Jeep
So
Wrangler.
it is 21 years old.
Lifted and modified?
Nope. It looks good. It's got
Nine-
soft top on it.
$9,000.
15,750.
Yeah, I was going to say 16.
Yeah, just because you're conceived in the back of a Jeep does not make you Cherokee.
That's a different model.
That's an old Oklahoma.
This is a
City.
Wrangler, like giddy up.
Yeah.
Yeehaw. A 1960 Dodge.
That's what happened. They were wrangled her.
That's a stretch.
He thinks too deep.
1960 Dodge D100. What do you think that would sell for? It looks very
D100.
very
7,000.
clean.
30.
7.
Oh, thinking 19.
10.
What?
That's cheap. That's
No
cheap.
kidding.
And
It's
it looks-
ugly.
And
You know,
no,
yeah,
not
it's cheap
necessarily.
enough.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
they
it's
were
not
ugly.
popular. It's,
Well, but I'm kind of into that game. All right,
well, you would be.
I would be 1941 Mercury 19A.
Mercury 1980.
Whatever the heck that is,
Is it
a
lead sled?
Mercury 19A model from 1941. What would you think? They talk about ugly. Whew,
I would
17.
say 9.
$12,075.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. Conrad, this is for you. Everybody else, just stand by.
Mm-hmm.
A 1962 Austin Healey 3000 Mark II.
So that had the 3-liter inline 6.
Only he would know that.
I'll say about 28.
You missed it by a little bit. $124,950.
Holy cow!
Whoa.
Well, that had to be show quality car.
Well, I don't know about that. It's ugly.
Got to be
But
Concours.
all I
quality.
can
Austin
think of
Healey's
is,
were.
yeah, but all I can think of is that it clearly has something else going for it that we don't know about. I wouldn't give you 2 cents for it, but $124,900.
That's a
Wow.
That's what it's
pretty
sold
high
for.
level car.
Yeah. Here's one: a 1979 Mazda RX-7. Now, is that with the rotary engine in it?
Yeah.
The 79 Mazda RX-7. Guesses? All
79
join.
Mazda,
All
79.
skate.
11,000.
Yeah, I'd say 14.
Mars?
12.
$3,500.
That's
We
a
overpaid,
steal.
fellas.
That's a steal.
Well, I thought it was for 2. That's why I said 11.
That would be 3.
That's why I highlighted it, because I thought that was really something.
It was.
A really clean looking but ugly color 1949 Ford F1. It's a pickup truck.
Right.
Okay.
30.
Spot on.
Go, yeah.
2250. $22,050.
That F1
19.
draws big money.
Yeah.
It does.
1970 BSA Starfire. BSA.
heck?
I have not heard about BSAs.
Is that a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
BSAs since middle school. A BSA.
Oh, so that would have been the 60s.
I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
say
1970.
Well, no, when you were in middle school, it would have been the 60s.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, that's true.
I'm going to say 11.
I have no clue.
$3,000.
Yeah.
Really?
No,
A
BSA. BSA stood for
British.
British something auto works.
BSA
Or,
stood
I just
for-
saw
I
it.
gotta-
British
Auto
sucks all the time.
I
Starfire.
gotta push it a lot.
Yeah. Or the last one of the day, because I don't want to burden this too much. 1957 Studebaker Transtar. This is a pickup truck,
oh,
and it's painted up pretty good. It's nice looking, anyway. A 57
30.
Studebaker Transtar, almost $24,150. Yeah.
Sounds like something Randy Borcherding would build.
no. Who is it that has one that we know? The friend of the show. I can't think of his name.
Ron Stein.
Ron Stein would know all about that.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like. Just thought you'd like to know. But at any
He's
rate,
not.
so the purpose of this is to point out the fact that if you're not George Skelton, if you're not a car guy, and you want to join in the car club festivities and fun, car shows, cruisins,
Right.
and that sort of stuff, that would be something that you would definitely want to consider.
There's some good value out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the purpose of this segment.
Yeah, and I would want a driver. I would want to take something like on a day-to-day, like you have your vet, you drop the top, go for a
Correct.
little cruise.
Yep. Yeah, because I've been the show car stuff, and ooh, you got to have some deep
Drivers
pockets,
are more fun.
a lot of patience, and a lot of money, and it's too big of a pain.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, okay. Shall we do some automotive news? I have lots of stories today.
And then we got history also.
Oh, we do. Oh, let's do
yeah.
history. I'm sorry, Conrad, I forgot.
Okay.
I didn't turn the page, but
This
let's do.
week, this week in 1940, did you know that Edsel Ford called William Knudsen,
Knudsen.
Bunky Knudsen?
Bunky Knudsen.
And he was in charge of the U.S. Office of Production Management and confirmed Ford's acceptance to build 9,000 Rolls-Royce designed engines to be used in British and U.S. airplanes if you remember the Allison V12, which was the engine of choice of the P-51 Mustang, I didn't realize Ford built those under contract. And then in 1940, also this week, Shirley Muldowney, the First Lady of Drag Racing and friend of the show and friend of Stan and Sheila Holt, she was born in Schenectady, New York. She won the NHRA Top Fuel Championship in 77, 80, and 82. Also in 1947, William Clay Ford married Martha Firestone, uniting two of the greatest fortunes in American automotive history. Henry and Harvey Firestone had been close friends and allies during their lives. After Firestone received the exclusive contract to supply tires for the Ford Model T.
I give it a year.
Neither man lived to see the union of their families. But I thought that was a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
And then to tie back into the earlier interview we had, in 1952, Maurice Olley, Chevrolet's chief engineer, completed the chassis code named Opal, which became the 53 Corvette. He wrote this book, Chassis by Design, and I think it's still available today. But he worked for 25 years for Rolls-Royce, and then went to work for General Motors and Chevrolet, and it prepared him for the important role he played in the birth of the Corvette. In 1991, let's see if I can make the noise here.
Where am I going to hear it?
Don't know. Imagine a noise in your head.
Yeah. Well, let's just move on.
Let's just move on. We got less than a minute. When
Mazda won the Le Mans 24 Hours in their four-rotor engine. They said it was the loudest engine ever to run at Le Mans. And, that little four-rotor just sounded like a sewing machine going by. And, pretty cool. Very good-looking car, a historical car. And the car has been out, and they've shown the car at the Goodwood races as well recently. And then in 2001 this week, Fast and the Furious, the crime drama, the crime drama-based movie debuted with Vin Diesel and such. So that's this week in auto history.
Thank you very much. Time now for a quick break. We'll be right back here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Please stay with us. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. That was the sound that was supposed to play during Conrad's Mazda
Auto
story.
History, yeah.
So at any rate, I wanted to make sure that you heard that. Obviously, they're fiddling with the.
I think the one that he was after was coming down the stretch.
Well, let's see if we can play
I
that.
believe it's right at the first.
There it is.
10,500 horsepower.
You know what?
RPM.
Do you know what that sounds like? That sounds like Mike on one of his highway acceleration ramp tests.
That was this morning.
That was this morning?
Yeah.
Boy, wouldn't you love to be behind that? No.
I'd like to at least try it.
Yeah, maybe
Now, let somebody else that knows what they're doing
to
drive
build
it for
up
me.
that.
I like,
Just
yeah.
strap me in. I'll go for a ride.
Well, you like strapping in.
All right, live from Studio A inside the Sugar Shack World Headquarters, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, well, we're going to talk about Dylan Mulvaney at some point.
What?
Bud Light and cars. I wrote that. Jeff has a segment on road signs. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic. Later, Randy Weldon brings some Mustang heat, and we'll also have the stories making automotive news headlines and some other craziness that I don't even know what's going to happen.
I don't know.
I don't know
There's
what
a
you.
guest coming up. I'm all confused.
We're going to get sunburned by the pool, drink some free buds, and talk about each other next on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
What kind of buds? What buds?
Buds. I'm going to talk about buds.
Oh.
Call your comments into 867-5309.
Hello.
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 It's, I think that there's something in the water here today.
It's your water.
Yeah, exactly.
And guess what? Randy Weldon is drinking it. There he goes. So we caught him listening to the playback. Randy, you're listening to our
Turn the
playback.
sound off, Randy.
You got to turn your sound off, Randy, because we're hearing ourselves back.
There he goes. So we caught him listening to the playback.
So when he gets all that straight, we'll get back with
Yeah,
him.
we'll get back with him.
So anyway, yes, because in this particular segment, we were not going to have anything. So I thought, well, we could talk about buds, Dylan, and pool talk.
No thanks.
Pool talk's good, but
You're not even you're the same as
You're not
Randy.
even strapped
You're not
in.
even strapped in yet. So you just need to talk about something else.
put the wrong headset on.
No, I had to check Randy's back. He's
Tesla
fixed.
scored a series of victories for its charging technology on Tuesday, capped by Texas saying it would require EV charging companies to include both Tesla's standard as well as the nationally recognized CCS if they want to be part of the state program to electrify highways using federal dollars. Texas, home to Tesla's headquarters and a new car factory complex, is the first state that will mandate Tesla's charging technology, giving a boost to CEO Elon Musk's hope of making it the national charging standard.
Yeah. Keep
North
your
American charging standard is the NACS connector.
Keep your EV fully charged in case there's a hurricane evacuation.
Can you imagine?
Think if people just ran out of gas and what a nightmare that was
Yeah.
that one year. Now it's everybody's EVs going to run out of electricity. And now what do you do?
I don't know.
You get a GMC Denali.
I think the whole thing is just shocking.
Let me turn this off if you don't mind.
Turn that off, Conrad.
Okay, I did. I just turned that off. Now let's go over to Randy, shall we?
Mustang Sally. Mustang Randy.
Hey, How you guys doing?
Well, we're obviously better than you, but did you enjoy all of the intro to this particular segment of the program?
Well, I actually didn't hear the intros. I didn't have any sound. That's why I was listening to the playback.
But you got
and
sound
I got
now.
A little bit of sound coming out of the speaker back there, but that's about it. Not much.
Okay.
Well, we're glad you could join us.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I've been without power for the last few days, guys.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah, but you've been
It-
enjoying In and Out.
It came on. Yeah, that's why I went to In and Out. That's right. It came on last night, I think about 7 o'clock or so. But I'm starting to wonder now why we don't have a national holiday for the guy that invented the air conditioner.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
good point.
we should have that.
We should.
Yeah.
What are you doing besides talking to us?
Recovering from heat exhaustion, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, well, no, there's no doubt. I mean, did you check yourself into a motel or something?
Oh, no. I have such strong belief in Centerpoint, that they were going to get things back up and running in a couple hours, that I just kind of hung in there and carried gasoline to and from the generator, kept it running.
Yeah, I'd say they hung you out to dry, but you were sweaty.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, everything's wet.
Randy, how long was your power off?
Right at 2 days, 48
Oh, wow.
hours.
Wow.
Man.
Well,
A nice experience.
I was just going to say, you're still alive and talking. I remember, was it Hurricane Harvey or was
Harvey
it the one
was the one that was
before
really bad.
that I was out of power for 2 weeks, and it was a pole down the street that I received power from that had collapsed in somebody's backyard back there because it was too old, and I'm familiar with that. But 2 weeks.
Well, we're glad you got power back, Randy. So what's going on in the world of Mustang?
Well, we just got done with a driving event up in Missouri. So we up at Ozark International Raceway. Just finished that up. We've got upcoming for our local club. We'll take part in the Kingwood Parade and carry the dignitaries over there. So that'll be 4th of July, something to get out in the sun and sweat about.
Well, you guys do that every year over in Kingwood.
They've been very gracious enough to invite us and let us carry the dignitaries. Yes.
Nice.
That's good.
So we try not to let them down.
Well, besides the heat stroke that you've suffered, so what is Randy Weldon up to these days, personally?
I'm still programming televisions out there. When we get done here today, I'll be logging into a server out in Phoenix, Arizona at a Weston and rebuilding their billboard pages. And then tomorrow I'll head to Bastrop and bring a server back online at a Holiday Inn Express over there.
And that's what you do. That's what you do for a living.
That's
Well,
what I do. Yeah.
yeah, very
That's how come he can afford the Mustang.
yeah. Well, he's got
That
more
is
than you
correct.
have more than one Mustang, don't you, Randy?
Now I'm down to one Mustang right now.
Oh my!
Just the convertible now, right?
Just the convertible. Yeah. And I'm probably going to give that to my grandson. Just turned 18, so more than likely I give that to him and start looking for another Mustang.
How many miles?
Nice
you got
job,
on that Mustang?
Grandpa.
Say again, Mike.
I've got 120,000 miles on that car.
What year is it?
2010.
Oh,
Well,
That's about average.
That's
It's about 10,000 miles
yeah.
a year.
that would be a great first car for an 18-year-old
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
going off to
Yeah,
college, I
absolutely.
assume, and yeah, that'd be a good deal.
Mustang convertible, yeah.
tub it out.
Yeah, as Randy knows, it's a chick magnet.
That's right. That is right.
And he didn't expand on that answer. Just that's it. Mm-hmm. Well,
Hey, I'm not giving this 18-year-old a 5.0. Not happening.
it's a 6-cylinder.
It's a 6-cylinder.
Yeah. Well, but I had a
Hey.
daughter that said, Dad, I want a Mustang GT. I said, you don't need that. Well, why not? I want a go fast car. I said, well, the 6-cylinder will go really fast if you push the accelerator pedal.
Early enough.
Yeah. But seriously, I mean, it's got 300 horsepower, does it not?
Actually, mine's only got 198. It's the 2010. It was just about a year before they came out with a 300 horsepower 6-cylinder.
Gotcha. Well, 200 is plenty. Because
but it's a convertible Mustang. Who cares what's under the hood? It's enjoying the convertibility of
well,
it.
there is that. But you think of you think of 200 horsepower today, and they're getting 200 horsepower out of 2-liter inline 4 cylinders, and it's plenty.
Yeah, but if I wanted a 2-liter, I'd go get a Pepsi.
He's 18. He's of the new generation. Tell him it's got 350 horsepower. He'll never know the difference.
Unless he listens to this program.
He's 18. He's out of this generation.
And he knows his grandfather's not going to do that.
You know, guys, I grew up on the streets here in Houston. I had a 404-barrel dual exhaust that I got in enough trouble with out there on the streets.
Absolutely.
That my insurance company finally called me and said, hey, if you sell the car and buy it back, we can insure you. But if you keep it, can't insure you anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I got this car, which, by the way, they took my company car from me and told me to go get a car, so this is what I got. So this was originally a company car. It's plenty for me at this age.
Oh, yeah.
I remember ending up in...
And I've got enough tickets in this thing to paper the wall. So, you know.
Yeah, once a lead foot, always a lead foot. It doesn't make any difference how much horsepower it's got.
That's right.
So didn't Mustang
problem.
Didn't Mustang Nationally just recently have their national meet as well?
Well, we had the event at Ozark International Raceway. We had another national car show out in Albuquerque just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking.
And then we've got coming up an event in July at Indianapolis. It's another car, show or another track event. Then we'll go into September. We'll have a show there. I believe that one's in Melbourne, Florida, at a car museum. It also it's plenty of Mopars and everything else down there. It's at a museum.
Cool.
I want to know when you're coming back to the airplane museum here.
Well, I don't know to be at the Lone Star Flight Museum, but with Vernon Wilhelm, who's the president of the local club now of Northside, and I shouldn't say the local club because there's 3 in this area, but of Northside Mustang Car Club, Vernon is talking about putting that together. But it takes a lot of planning. You have to have a lot of volunteers, and so once we get that approved, it'll be 2 years out.
And doesn't that kind of a national show get rotated amongst all the big clubs around the state, around the country?
Well, the way it works is you have local clubs that actually step up and they present a business plan trying to get approval by the national board of directors to actually put on a national show. There's got to be a lot of things in place. You've got to have the proper venue, a lot of advertising. You've got to make sure that you've got the volunteers. You have to have a place for a banquet. There's a lot involved in this, and there's about might be 50, 60 page book involved that you have to go through and hit rules and regulations to put on a national show.
Yeah, that one was great down there at the Lone Star Flight Museum.
It really was. But,
cool.
From being in a car club and understanding what he's talking about, it is more work than it just appears on the outside.
I imagine so.
Because, gathering all the cats, herding all the cats to, first of all, show up.
Well, plus vendors and
all of that.
All of that,
yeah. And the venue also has to pretty much be married to you or you married to it to make it all work, kind of like a wedding party, if you will. It's a ton of work.
I love listening to Don talk about wedding parties and being married.
Because I'm looking at the past. That's what I'm looking at. So just let that go, okay?
There's a lot to be learned from history.
Yeah. There
There
definitely is. So, Randy, when you buy another Mustang, what are you going to be looking for? You're going to be looking for value, price, style, model, year model.
Going to get another vert?
I want a Roush Stage 3.
Oh, gosh.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Well,
a convertible.
All right. So when that happens, what are you going to do for a work car?
Oh, well, I've got my F-150 truck.
Okay.
I roll around.
All right. See, at least you've got another ride.
Another driver.
Yeah. Okay.
I have another ride, and right now the back of that, the bed of that's full of Mustang parts for Generation 1 Mustangs that Jeff Mays, the president of Mustang Club America, purchased, and I picked those up down in Missouri City last weekend. I'll take them up to our national event, or our national directors meeting, which will be July 8th and 9th in Dallas.
Interesting. Well, if you were that close, you should have stopped by.
Truck into his.
You should have stopped by and said hello. If you're that close, Missouri City,
Yeah,
gosh.
it's not very far.
You know, guy, I stopped at Hooters. I was looking for y'all.
Thank you. We
They
appreciate it.
have a great grouper sandwich at Hooters.
Yeah, I was more in the wings and the shrimp, but you know.
You know, some
terrible.
Knowing you, there's some sort of hidden meaning.
No, there is
always
no
a
hidden
double
hidden
entendre.
meaning.
You mean
It
to
is
tell me
truly
you
a great
admit you
grouper sandwich.
go to Hooters and order the grouper sandwich?
Haven't been in a long time.
Only you would do that.
Haven't been in a long time.
Smells
Yeah.
like fish.
Randy,
We're off the rails again.
Randy, you know, would you please save me here? I don't know what to say.
Hey, yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm sure you got it grilled also.
But if anybody out there in our listener world has a Roush Stage 3 that they're interested in selling, get a hold of us at info@inwheeltime.com and we'll pass it on to Mr. Weldon.
Yeah.
Randy, it's always good to talk to you. What are you going to say?
I was going to say, if also I'm for the 4th of July parade, I'm going to start my little effort this morning, but I need about 4 more convertibles. Would like for them all to be Mustangs. If anybody's out there listening, certainly I would. I'm looking for cars. If you want to pass my information there too.
Okay.
Call 867-5309.
Well, no, just send us an email at info@inwheeltime.com and we'll pass it on to Mr. Weldon.
Well, I mean, I would imagine. Well, no, I didn't. I was going to say, I'll bet you there's a Ford dealer that probably has some access to convertibles. Do they actually make convertibles at Ford, or they ship them off to a conversion company?
I think they make them.
You know, I think they make them on the production line.
Okay. All right. Well,
You know, unlike, you know, some of the other convertibles of the past where you're right, they were sent off to CNC or Eisenhart.
Yeah.
I think Ford makes these on their own.
American Sunroof for
Production
GM up in
line, yeah.
Detroit.
Randy, great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today and putting up with our shenanigans.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Nice to see you guys.
You too.
Thanks.
Stay cool, man, and good luck on the power.
Glad you
Take
got your
care,
power
y'all.
back.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
You bet.
My little sign fell down.
Uh-oh.
There.
That's a sign.
There you go. That's a sign of
Well,
something.
speaking of which, we're getting into signs here in a little bit. How
Well,
about that?
You know, why don't we just do that right now?
And then
The
we'll do his after mine.
Okay. Well, all right. So Jeff has a feature today on road signs.
Signs
Everywhere
everywhere.
a sign. No, you can't play that on the radio. You can sing it, though.
I can't sing it. That's all I got.
You just did.
Sing 10 or 12 miles from here.
All right.
There you
Go,
All
Jeff.
right, here we
Road
go.
signs.
Road signs. Here we go. So the road signs have been in use since the time of Roman Empire. The Romans created 1 pound stone markers referred to as milestones. That's where we get it from, which were numbered and placed at specific intervals around 62,000 miles of roads. Most of the early road signs, like the ones made in the American Automobile Association, were made of wood, placed on iron columns. The first road signs were milestones giving distance and direction. So the first one we have are regulatory signs, and these are broken down on what kind of signs they are. Regulatory signs tell the drivers what they must do, what they must not do according to the law. They give information about rules and traffic direction, speed, lane usage, stopping, yield, turning, parking, and so on. Regulatory signs are typically white, red, or black with black, white, or red letter symbols. That's confusing. Watch this. They are usually square or rectangle, but some have special shapes. Some regulatory signs have red circles with a red slash. Those are the red slash signs. Moving on to warning signs. Warning signs alert road users to changes in roadway conditions, possible road hazards ahead. These signs are posted before the conditions so drivers have time to slow down, see what is ahead, and decide how they should respond.
MR Deers.
MR
Does
Deers.
that mean there's a John dealer ahead?
It
John
could be a tractor.
Deere
Watch out for
tractor store
tractors. There
ahead?
you go. And, of course, we got construction signs. They are work road signs. I tried to get a sign with a guy leaning on a shovel, but this one's probably pushing one.
And 17 guys standing around and
watching
watching.
him.
Yeah. Work zone signs are usually normally diamond shaped with black letters or symbols on the orange background. These signs identify construction, maintenance, utility, or emergency operation areas and warn drivers that workers or equipment may be on or near the road or sleeping.
And traffic's going to turn to
These
crap.
warning signs include workers ahead, reduced speed, sudden changes of the road surfaces, lane closures, detours, and slow-moving construction equipment. In work zones, traffic may be controlled by a person with a flag or a stop-slow paddle. Flaggers have the same authority. Those guys out there waving you through, they've got the same authority as a sign.
And the price of your ticket doubles.
Yes, exactly.
In a work
You would
zone.
know that.
I know that because of coming south out of College Station in those work zones. I got peened.
Guide signs. Most guide signs are horizontal or rectangle with white letters and numbers on a green background.
New York City.
Get a
Guide
rope.
signs direct motorists to cities and towns by telling them where they are and what road they are on and how to get where they want to go. These signs give information about directions, distance, and proper exits. On highways and expressways, one advanced guide sign is usually followed by another advanced sign with the third sign posted at the actual exit where you
It
need to
says
get off.
you've missed all
You
the
missed
signs.
it, and then Buc-ee's is next. The
Potty on.
service signs. Service signs are square or rectangle with white letters or symbols on a blue background. These signs direct drivers toward services, facilities
pistol.
such as as-
Football ahead.
as hospitals, rest areas, gas stations, restaurants, and motels. So that's a little bit of signage for you.
Sign,
There you
everywhere.
go.
Sign.
Yeah, and when you see those signs, you're already stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic around here.
I need to get off there.
Yeah. And you're over in the left lane. You can't get to the right.
True.
Well, you can, but you just got to stop traffic. To do
Yeah.
it.
Uh-huh, and everybody gets yelling at you and
Mm-hmm.
shooting you the finger and stuff. All
So I
right.
took one of my granddaughters wanted to go driving, practice driving yesterday, and so we went, and we got exactly like that.
What
we
car did you take, Mike? Did you take one of the press cars?
No, we took the truck. We took the truck
Cool.
because I
the
needed
truck
her-
with the camper shell on the
Yeah,
back
so
of
I
it, so
wanted
you
her to
can't
get-
see out the back.
Exactly. I wanted her to get used to that. And so we're coming up on an exit, and I'm telling her, you got to move over, and she can't make up her mind about going over. And so we missed the exit. Now, I would have made that exit, but I was not about to tell her to cross that double white line and make that exit. So we went to the next
teaching
exit,
somebody else how to drive.
and
Oh
we got
my
to the
God.
next exit, and it was the same problem.
Danger.
We ended
danger.
up going 5 miles down before we got to where she could get over comfortably and make the U-turn and come back.
Oh my God.
But it was exactly that. She just caught in the traffic.
No, it was the teacher.
Yeah.
Honey,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we're 3 miles away from the exit. We need to
Move
start
to the
trying
right.
to get over to the right.
Well,
Move
here,
to
let's
the
explain this. Get off here because there's a liquor store in that corner we need to stop at.
Yeah, Mike wouldn't have missed that. That brown water.
Brownwater store.
Brown water store.
All right. The
Oh,
In-Wheel
wow.
Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production.
Cool.
So tomorrow night on NBC now, NASCAR has moved to NBC, is the race in Nashville.
That's NBC.
and
Or is that NBC or NBC?
yeah, whatever.
Nobody cares is what that stands
Yeah, I was
for.
thinking
National
the same thing.
Broadcasting. And then on July 2nd is the Chicago Street Race with the fastest pit stops as they steal the wheels and tires as you drive by in South Chicago. Formula One is this weekend at Sandendorf. And then next weekend at the Austrian Grand Prix. Watkins Glen is this weekend for IMSA, and we wish our friend Alec Udell good luck at the Watkins Glen.
You bet.
And then next weekend, IndyCar is at Mid-Ohio. And also this weekend, I think we're going to talk to him a little bit later, is the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb up in Pikes Peak,
I
Colorado.
sure wish he'd get done with that because I need to chase down this electrical
Glitch.
problem
In
on
your
the
car?
Corvette.
But that's been a bucket place thing for me. I've always wanted to go to. I've been to Pikes Peak and drove up, but I'd always wanted to go to the hill climb. And I was reading the schedule. They opened the spectator gates at 1 a.m. last night, where you could drive up to park your spectator car to watch the race go by, because that's about all you can do is watch the race go by. because there's not a great spot you can see a lot of the track.
At home, on television with helicopter coverage.
Well, it's
Is
on,
it
it's on
on television?
No,
I
it's
don't know.
on an app. It's on the. He'll tell us, but it's on a
Whatever.
Mobile One app or something.
It's okay.
You can
It's
watch it.
available.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, they got some pretty cool cars running. There's,
Okay. What else?
that's it.
All right.
Beautiful.
I thought this was an interesting story, and I think that you can chime right in on this. More Americans are
We will.
entering into auto loans that exceed the worth of their cars after vehicle values declined in the wake of dramatic increases during the pandemic, a report has found. Used car loan-to-value ratios increased to 125 in the first 3 months of this year from 104 for the same period in 2021. According to the study released Tuesday by credit reporting firm TransUnion and market researcher J.D. Power, a ratio of 125 means that the borrower's loan is worth 125% of the vehicle's value.
Can be up to, yeah.
Negative equity, or the amount that debt exceeds a vehicle's value, has ballooned in recent years, with some consumers stepping into car dealerships $10,000 upside down.
So if you thought you were upside down before, when you put all that into the next car loan, you're going to be upside down forever.
And here's a story that kind of folds right into that. Auto loans more than 60 days past due reached 1.69% in the first 3 months of 2023. That tops recession-era highs of about 1.46% in 2009 and 2010, and is 26 basis points higher than the 1.43% recorded in the first quarter of 2021. Inflation and high interest rates may be partly to blame for the increase. According to S&P Global Mobility, the interest rate rise is squeezing the monthly budget for the average American consumer, according to Jill Loudon, who works for those folks. Consumers set aside money monthly for housing, vehicles, and insurance, but may not pay other obligations with the same frequency, such as medical bills and credit cards. People need their vehicles to get to work to make money and pay their obligations. Duh.
And the other thing that goes along with that increasing, the state of Texas recently approved a inflation insurance rate hike on your vehicles. Mine's gone up twice this year.
Utility.
30%.
Explain that again.
Not utility, but your cars.
Oh,
Car insurance.
Car insurance.
Yeah, the state
the
approved it
values
because
went
of inflation. They've approved that rate increase across the board. Now, if your insurance company chooses to implement it or not, mine chose to do it both times.
What company is that, Mike?
Texas Farm Bureau.
So you get what you vote for. Stop voting for idiots in office.
There you go.
okay.
Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Hello.
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 Live. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show coming up.
We need to work on that.
We're going to work on that.
Practice.
We do. And so we were going to have first of all, Randy Weldon was supposed to be here. We moved him to 9 o'clock to make room for the surprise guest, who we understand has just stood us up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that goes double.
What?
I was going to say, at some point in time,
You weren't gonna say-
I was going to say, I want to talk about my experience with the vehicle I'm reviewing this week. I had an interesting
We've
experience.
got to. No, but
We'll save it for the review.
It'll make your review run long.
Well, then, okay. Well, let's just talk about that right now. Was it a good
Do it.
experience or a bad experience?
It was a weird thing.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that.
He called me.
Yeah, I called Conrad to ask Conrad if there was some
Magic.
secret handshake magic thing they
Well,
could
that's
do.
Hyundai.
So I was showing off the car I was driving. I was showing it off to some
Was the
people.
handshake like this?
Yes.
No, it was more like So anyway, I was showing it off, and so I hit the remote start to start it so they could hear it and all that stuff. The guy was sitting in the seat saying, "Oh, this is so nice." You know, he was really digging it and liking it. So I hit the remote start, and we were talking. So he got out, and we finished talking, and I got in it to leave, and I put it in gear.
Well, you got to hit the start button.
I put it in gear,
And the car went stupid.
and the car went stupid.
What does that mean?
Now, it means that the engine died. There was no alarms, no bells, no whistles, or anything like that going on. The radio was still on.
Mm-hmm.
The lights were still on. The windows would go up and down. Everything worked except the motor.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't get it to stop. I could push the off button. Nothing I did would get everything to turn off. Nothing. I hit OnStar. OnStar, hey, I got a problem here. You know, can you reset me or do something? That department left 3 minutes ago. It's 8:03. So
That department.
yeah, so that's when I called Conrad and I said, Conrad, is there some secret handshake to
This
you know,
must be a General Motors car.
yes, you know, push the brake pedal 5 times, turn around twice in the driver's seat or some nonsense.
And stick your finger up your nose and
Yeah,
away
yeah,
it
yeah.
goes.
Yep.
Nothing. So I called the press fleet manager. She was at her mother's birthday party by
Alba.
this time. Yeah. You know, and she couldn't hear me. She had to go into another room, and she said, and
They
I
were
told,
partying at her mother's.
yeah, and I told her, I said, you know, the only thing I know to do is disconnect the battery on this press car,
Oh, God.
but I don't want to do it without telling you.
Uh-huh.
She said, you want me to call a tow truck? And I said, no, I don't want to call a tow truck. You know, because they would do the same thing, or else they were going to take it to
What
the
kind of
dealership.
car was this?
It was a GM.
But what was it?
It was a Tahoe. The Tahoe I'm fixing to review.
Oh, my God.
So I'm at a buddy's house, and I get out, and, you know, he's got no metric tools. So we're trying to find a wrench that'll fit on the battery terminal. Anyway, long story short, I got the battery disconnected, the negative post, because the positive is buried.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled the negative post off. Conrad said, just leave it off a few seconds. And I put it back on.
Nothing.
Worked perfect.
Just reset everything.
It didn't lose anything
tilted
either.
It's like playing pinball. You tilted it.
Yeah. So
What do
the
you
only
mean
thing
it didn't lose anything?
it didn't lose the radio memory or any of the
okay.
driving, the seats. No,
Did it remember that you screwed up and
No, it let me get in it and start it. I didn't want to try the remote thing again until I got home, and then I tried it. And
Until he had a
if
real
you do it
metric wrench.
right, if you push the button like you're supposed to, works perfect. But it's almost like Conrad mentioned something about it's almost like it went into an anti-theft mode.
Yeah.
You know, that I didn't do it right, so it thought maybe I was trying to steal it, so it wouldn't let me drive it away, but it wouldn't lock the doors or anything like that to keep me from getting it
no,
out.
because it didn't know that there might have been a child in there.
Right. You know, so I thought, in a way, I thought it was pretty smart, but the other ones I've tried that on, you went to put it in gear, it just locked you out. I mean, everything stopped. But this didn't. I mean, the radio kept blaring and lights were still on and just like.
Well, if you think about it, you know, I'm pretty sure it went into some kind of anti-theft mode.
That
You know,
default.
One of the first things on remote start is always lock the car. That's one of the functions you're supposed
Yeah,
to do. Is
or it
you're always
won't do
supposed
it.
to lock
Right.
the car and then remotely start it. So in this case, I
Didn't do
guess
that either.
Yeah, it didn't do that. So the car went into something's up. Let me go into anti-theft.
Yeah.
And shut down. But you can always clear that by pulling a battery cable.
As long as you got a 10 millimeter.
You have to lock
Wrench.
it with the remote.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if you want to, the idea is
Restart it.
that you leave and you come back an hour later and you remote start it, unlock it, open the door, put your foot on the brake, hit the start button because you've got the key in your pocket,
Bob.
and all is well.
You know who does that a lot? Kathy does that a lot. She turns it on so the air blows cold. It
Oh,
gets in
yeah.
there.
Well, and that's kind of what I did because when I got there, I locked it and I went in. We were for a little while, and then when I came back out, I unlocked it, and I was showing him
You
the
were at the
car,
liquor
and he
store,
got in
weren't
it.
you?
No, I was in the guy's driveway. So he said, "Can I sit in it?" And I said, "Sure, you can
Did he
sit
work?
in it." And-
Did he own the liquor store?
No, I think his cousin does though. But then, so I hit the
Cousin
remote
Vinny.
start. So the sequence was right up to that point. I unlocked it, started it remotely.
Only you, Mars.
Well, it surprised me that it did that whenever I put it in gear. My truck just stops. You just forget it. You ain't going to do nothing. So I just thought that was rather interesting the way it's.
You were pretty frustrated on the phone.
Did you happen to look inside the book?
No.
There's
Who
nothing
looks
in the
inside the book?
There's nothing in the book about that. Because you're supposed to be doing it the right way. You're not supposed to be doing it the way I did it.
Well, don't do that.
That's what AI told them. Don't do that.
Exactly. No, actually, it said, "You dumb donkey, don't do that."
Dumb donkey.
Boy, oh
Texas
boy.
Cadillac dealer is the new owner of a 1966 lowrider known as the Snoop DeVille.
All right. Yeah, I think I saw that.
The car was customized by rapper Snoop Dogg and appeared in 50 Cent's 2003
No, 50
music.
Cent.
50 cent.
50 cent.
50 cent. Not 50 cents.
The car was customized by rapper Snoop Dogg and appeared in 50 Cent's
There you go.
Much better.
2003 music video PIMP remix.
Pimp remix.
What's it
P
called? I mean, what's the
P
car
period I period M period P period
Yeah.
PIMP.
Which means it's probably worse than the word pimp.
called? So what's the Cadillac called again? I missed it.
Snoop DeVille.
Snoop DeVille.
Now it's a conversation piece in the newly opened showroom for Frank Kent Cadillac of Arlington, Texas. According to TMZ, the dealership bought the car from previous owner Christian Bonilla, who put it on the market in December for an undisclosed price.
Of course.
Snoop Dogg had sold it to Bonilla with a blown engine shortly after the 50 Cent video was filmed. Bonilla replaced the engine and upgraded the audio system, but he kept the teal upholstery and 3 chandeliers that reportedly secured the top interior award at a 2006 General Motors car competition.
3 chandeliers.
They had to do brace the roof to hold the weight.
At Snoop DeVille's new home, visitors can admire the car while sipping a selection from the dealership's in-house wine bar called Cadillac Wines.
Every Cadillac
What a
dealership
waste
needs
of,
that.
what a waste of money.
Yeah. Incredible.
I thought that you would appreciate all of that.
Well, that's a Jeffrey story. Anything Cadillac.
Mhm.
Everything Cadillac.
Everything Cadillac.
I got something real quick.
Okay.
Arkansas man is suing a country club after they refused to give him the truck they promised him as a hole-in-one. Buckle up, folks. We have a hole-in-one and a car controversy brewing in Arkansas.
A hole-in-one or a hole?
Hole-in-one.
Hole-in-one.
Car controversy brewing in Arkansas. Long time ago, a Conway, Arkansas man by the name of Austin Glaggett filed a lawsuit against the Morrilton Country Club. Gaggett played in the country club's tournament of the century.
His name is Gaggett.
No, Claggett.
Oh, Claggett.
Claggett. Claggett.
This is Arkansas. Get your accent right.
Tournament of the century on Saturday, a three-person scramble format, and the buy-in of $375 for the folks to go play before the tournament. The Morrilton Country Club promoted a 2022 Ford F-150 4x4 Super Crew as a prize for the first person to hit a hole-in-one on the course's 10th hole. The truck had a sticker of 53.5, was allegedly donated by the Ford dealership, and so far so good. But there's a problem because against all odds, the guy hit the hole-in-one on the 10th hole. According to reports, it was a good, clean ace. Everybody saw it. It didn't happen on a provisional, dropping a ball or anything like that. It didn't happen out of a turn, so everything was legit. Letter of the law. So when Claggett went to claim his new ride after the round, however, Morrilton Country Club wouldn't turn over the keys. Claggett's lawyer said that the statement on behalf of the client is that he did make it legitimately. I got to turn the page, guys. Sorry. And the dealership, they was accused of crawfishing, walking backwards, sideways. In Arkansas, that's how you know someone means the business. J. Hodge Ford, Conrad's doing it right now, says that they were unable to secure the necessary insurance for the vehicle in time because they believe the vehicle was for display purposes only.
So in other words,
they shouldn't have put it out there. They shouldn't have promoted it. The guy won it, and they weren't going to give it to him.
Yeah, I've done golf tournaments before and played in them where there's a hole-in-one car, but also organized a couple of them with a hole-in-one car. And that hole-in-one insurance is all calculated based on how many players you have, how far is the hole, a lot of other metrics to come up with, maybe $300, $500, $1,000 insurance for a hole-in-one car. You got to think golf tournaments around the country, tens of thousands of them have a hole-in-one car in them. So the insurance companies are making a killing selling hole-in-one insurance. They should pay out.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
now, if the dealership didn't finalize the contract with the insurance company in time or correctly, that's their responsibility.
It comes down to who had the contract. Did the country club have the contract with the dealership who was supposed to get that insurance, or was the country club? Because the ones that I've worked on, the tournament people got the insurance for that. Same thing. It's just the dealership didn't do it. The group that was organizing the tournament, we had to do that.
Yeah, I've seen it where the dealership gets the contract with the
I don't think it makes
company.
any difference as long as there's insurance on the car by somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it's not.
Go ahead.
It's not insurance on the car. It's insurance to
Pay
get
for it.
the car.
I understand. But as long as there's insurance, it shouldn't make any difference who has the contract. Either the country club,
somebody needs
the
to
dealership, or the organizer.
I agree.
Somebody needs to pay.
But if the dealership saying they didn't have time to get the insurance, that's telling you there is
That's
no
on the
insurance.
dealership.
Well, and in this case, I think the dealership went into it as a display. The country club promoted it without the dealership knowing it. I think there was a little bit of
but the dealership
communication
gave them the vehicle to put out
promotion.
on the hole.
That's where the lawyers get involved.
and that's just it.
And the only people who make money are the attorneys.
That's
they're
right. And
crawfishing.
this guy will probably end up getting his truck.
And the guy that sells the crawfish too.
But it may be an old model by the time.
Well, this is an
it's-
old story.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
an old
yeah.
story too.
It's Arkansas. It takes a while to get it down here out of the mountains.
Yeah.
I got relatives up there. I can say that.
Yeah. What do you call 32 straight white teeth in Arkansas? A beauty
Family
pageant.
reunion?
A beauty pageant.
So anyone in Arkansas, send your it's Conrad at
Conrad. No, no.
867-5209.
No, better yet, send it to info@InWheelTime so we can all share on that story. Because if you send it to Conrad, he'll
will
just
never see
delete
it.
it. That's
yeah,
right.
he'll never read it.
Or you call our toll-free line, 1-876-5309.
Kind of getting old. you know?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of Tesla electric vehicle news.
Yes, there is.
Shocking.
Tesla has stepped up its U.S. sales incentives to move new inventory of its high-end Model S sedan and Model X crossover, with discounts reaching $7,500 plus free use of its supercharging network for 3 years, according to the company's website. The additional perk of 3 years of free supercharging on Tesla's extensive network is potentially worth a few $1,000s.
That's a good deal.
Depending on charging frequency, the free charging also comes for non-inventory Model S and Model X vehicles ordered on the website for June delivery. Well, you better hurry up. The EV maker is also offering discounts on inventory of the Model 3 for buyers who take delivery before June 30, according to its website. Tesla added 3 months of free supercharging for inventory Model 3s last week. Enough of that.
Elon needs more money for his fight with Zuckerberg.
Rivian Automotive has reached an agreement to access Tesla's supercharger network starting next year to incorporate the charging port design into its future electric vehicles. Rivian said it will provide a charging adapter as early as spring of 24 for its current vehicles next year so they can access the 12,000 superchargers contemplated in the deal. Ford is again increasing the price of some models of its F-150 Lightning electric pickup, with the base model now starting at $61,869, including shipping, up about 50% over the initial starting price when the truck launched in April 2022.
It's good advertising at 42.
The price hikes come as the automaker reopens retail order banks for current reservation holders, resumes vehicle shipments, and returns to full production at its Rouge Electric Vehicle Center following a February battery fire.
So I wonder if people who got the pre-orders in, are they still going to have the price that they had when they ordered it?
They should have it.
Or are they going to crawfish on that?
Well, who knows? Back to the electric thing for a second. Hyundai will consider making its vehicles more readily compatible with Tesla, pushing for in North America, the South Korean automaker CEO said on Tuesday. So everybody's climbing on board, and that will no longer be a news story before long because everybody's going to go to the Tesla charging mode.
Well, because there's more Tesla stations out there than anything else.
And that's why. And because this two-charger plug thing is way too much. It's kind of like Betamax and VHS. What happened to Betamax? Because everybody went to VHS.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Elon's going to make billions on it because wasn't the deal
$3 billion, I think, is the estimate.
The deal with GM.
GM, Ford, Rivian.
Remember
everybody.
Carlos Ghosn?
Yeah, what a guy. Yeah.
He's a bag man.
Former Nissan Motor Company chairman Carlos Ghosn sued the automaker for more than $1 billion in a lawsuit filed to Lebanon's public prosecutor.
He's got cojones.
The lawsuit accuses Nissan, along with 2 other companies and 12 named individuals, of crimes including defamation, slander, and libel, and fabricating material evidence. Ghosn, once a leading light of the global car industry, was arrested in Japan in late 2018 and charged with financial misconduct. He denied the charge and said his detection was part of a plot by Nissan executives to block a merger with alliance partner Renault, which Ghosn also led. Ghosn fled to Lebanon, his childhood home, in late 2019, hidden in a box aboard a private jet. He said he was escaping a rigged justice system in Japan. All right.
He knows he didn't come to the U.S. either.
No, because in Lebanon, they don't have an extradition treaty with anybody. Come on in.
Well, if he wants his money, you have to come get it. Get him out of Lebanon, and then they can throw him in the clink.
We'll see if that happens. At any rate, I just thought that you would enjoy those stories. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic.
Yep.
So why don't we go ahead and do the car clinic, because we know that it usually takes you longer than the allotted time. So I'm going to allow for that right now.
Well,
aren't you thankful?
Thank you. Well, you were talking about, let's keep it, kind of technical on the vehicles themselves.
Yes.
So this week we're going to talk about exhaust manifolds.
Okay.
An engine, a gasoline or diesel engine, is basically an air pump. How much air can you get in and how much air can you get out, and how loud's the bang in the middle to push the piston down to create power. So one of the cheapest ways to make more power is improving the airflow of the exhaust system. Hence, that's why so many hot rodders put headers on car. The first one here is what's called the Chevrolet Ram horn, very popular exhaust manifold, was used on millions of Chevrolets through the years, from the early 60s all the way through the mid 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So, very, very popular, but not good flow. So that's why you see so many people throw headers on a small block Chevy and really increase the power.
It's
of
free power is what it is.
It's ultimately free power. Didn't Bierman sell? Didn't he get his start selling headers?
No,
to
not
somebody?
start, but he made a fortune on them.
Yeah.
Hedman headers.
Was it Hedman? I thought it was Doug, but either way.
Hedman headers, and just to interrupt and just say this, that I'll never forget the first time I went to his house. He says, come on in. A regular 3-bedroom, single-story house, right? Over in the Meadows Place now. I walk in every room, you walk in, the dining room's to the right, every single room in this house is floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall headers stacked everywhere for every make and model of car that you could possibly do.
Because he was shipping them out.
And he ran a little bitty box ad, like a 1.5 inch by 1 inch box ad in the back of CarCraft and Hot Rod and all the car magazines. And I think it was $49 or $59.95 for a set of headers for your car.
That was cheap.
Shipped to you. Lifetime guarantee. Boom. He would get one delivery, 18-wheeler of headers one day. And later on in the afternoon, the truck would come to pick up the end of the day orders and fill up the truck with headers. So he was just moving them in and out of his house all day long.
Smart guy.
Uh-huh.
So,
Anyway.
Manufacturers recognize this free horsepower available to them. So they started building their own exhaust manifolds that had a header-like look. So if you kind of look at the next one.
But they're cast iron.
In most cases, they're cast iron. Now they're actually doing tubes. This one was for the Max Wedge. You can see even in cast iron, that's pretty complex casting there that created the header look of cast iron. And through the years, different manufacturers did it. Kind of the next one out after the Max Wedge was Pontiac and their Super Duty. You got to remember, Pontiac Super Duty started as a 421 back in the early 60s and evolved into the Ram Air of the early 70s and stuff. So again, it has that long tube look, and that length of that tube was worked on by the engineers to create the most power, as well as the way that it scavenged, where it came together at the connection where all four of the tubes came together. That was an important part of the design of the header or the exhaust manifold. And then Mopar again did it with the Street Hemi, with clearly what looks to be headers on the Street Hemi. And you got to think that was cast iron, pretty heavy, but it took some work to create that casting to do that, but very creative.
And they would glow a brilliant orange when you really got
when
that
you were really
going.
banging on them.
Yep.
And then Carroll Shelby, building hot rod cars, he recognized the importance of it, and he had his own exhaust manifolds that were cast for the. You got to remember, he had a 289 that was putting out 305 horsepower at the time. Well, a big chunk of that was the exhaust system on the vehicle, as well as the carburetor and the tune. But just how much power can you create just by changing the exhaust manifolds to a better flowing exhaust
10 to 20
manifold
horsepower usually
was pretty significant, in the day. So that would have been the small block, and then Ford said, "Hey, I can beat that." And then they built these headers for the 428 Super Cobra jets. Again, some of these are pretty rare to find and very expensive to find originals. So again, you can see that they're trying to create that exhaust flow to get the air out of the engine. Next week, we're going to talk about intake manifolds and getting air into the engine. And then, finally today, everybody says, put an LS in it and tub it out. Or Jeff says, put an LS in it and tub it out. So this is what the exhaust manifold looks like on the LS2 Chevrolet engines.
What does it look like on my Corvette? Because I can't see it.
Probably not too far from this, but yours is an LS1, so it might have been a little bit shorter runners. But
I thought you had headers on there.
No. Huh. No, it has a Corsa catback exhaust. Anyway, go ahead.
But you can see in this, there was quite a bit of work put together to create that flow range to get the air out of the inside of the engine. And you want them to be long, you want them to be smooth, and you don't want a lot of really sharp bends in them. So, all the manufacturers recognized, as the hot rodders did, that a set of headers that look like this are pretty important. So they were building basically cast iron headers in production.
So why did the factory, once they realized this, what was the advantage of staying with cast iron versus building a header?
Well, not
header
just
cheaper to run the
that. Not
aftermarket?
just that, but why didn't they all change it to a scavenging header like
Right.
the late model LS motor?
Because the cast iron's cheaper than welding together tubes.
Seriously?
Yeah, manpower. Just in manpower.
Labor?
Yeah, you
I'll
could.
be darned.
Once you had the sand casting, you could build thousands of exhaust manifolds. Where a header requires somebody to get in there and take it together and piece it together.
That
and
was the
build
first thing I did on my Corvette. Put a set of headers on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they were.
And
Headers
it'll wake the
or-
car up.
Yeah.
Definitely will wake the car up. My Oldsmobile's got headers on it.
Wonder what the number one header maker seller is
Hooker.
these days.
I would think
Hooker?
Hooker.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Hooker
Would be
headers?
Hooker, yeah. That's what I would think.
Hooker, Hedman, Doug Thorley.
Hedman, Hedman's good.
Thorley may be good, but I don't, volume-wise, I don't.
No, I would say volume-wise would be Hooker. I think
That's what I
Edelbrock
think.
makes
Well,
headers now.
when we watch the NHRA races this afternoon, look on the side of the car. 'Cause it's either going to be
See
Hedman
who's
or
on.
That doesn't
Hooker.
mean anything.
That just means who
Sponsorship.
gives them
I
money.
mean, that's right. Run the sticker. We'll give you some money if you win.
Yeah.
But again, it's easy horsepower by getting the air out of the engine. Next weekend, we're going to talk about getting the
And
air
there's
into the
also a
engine.
possibility, if you keep your foot out of it, of getting a little bit better gas mileage.
Yeah, well,
because it
that's not
flows
why you put.
everything.
Yeah, that's not why you put headers on it. You put it
course
because you
not.
want power.
So
you can
intake,
bang on it.
we talk about port and polish.
Nah, yeah, I'm not really going to talk about port and polish. There's an aspect of that, and that is when you put two pieces of metal together, you want that airflow to be smooth over that mating surface.
Right.
So porting is making sure that mating surface is exactly the same as the two pieces of
Right.
metal going together, and polishing is
Just
smoothing it
yeah.
out so it's not a rough surface to create a boundary layer air turbulence.
Perfect.
I did have one. Yeah, I don't have time to read all of this. I'm going to read this. Separately.
Candace is watching,
Is she?
so be nice.
Is she reading her text messages?
I hope so.
Oh, she texted me back. Let's see. I gave her a hard time
blink
about
and
You
you
that.
may
blank.
not be able to read her
Yeah.
text.
Blink,
I don't
blink,
think you
blink,
want to.
blink.
She says, sorry, buddy, I sure tried. You didn't even call or text. No, because I didn't know this was going to happen.
It was a surprise.
It's a surprise. Mars
Surprise.
kept it a secret. All right, moving
It's
on.
all Mars's fault.
Always is.
It is, yep.
Mhm. And we're all of his wives,
Okay.
aren't we,
gosh.
Mars?
Oh, yeah.
In kind of a sick way.
All righty.
All right, quick break now. You're on the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on N-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Loopy's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Loopy Tortilla. Loopy Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live from Studio A, inside the world-famous Sugar Shack in Texas, USA, It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we hope to talk to Richard Tomlin up at Pikes Peak if he can get cell service up there. We also have the upcoming events calendar, Mars Reviews, the new Chevy Tahoe. Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, who doesn't know how to remote start a vehicle, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin.
Wear a hat.
Wear a hat.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. We always give Mars such a hard time, and he really deserves it. But
Thank you very much.
But
We got to blame somebody.
I know. So
And Suze can't be blamed.
No, she can't. She has been knocked out on the cool concrete over there.
I don't blame her.
Candace says, sorry, guys, she would have been an interesting interview. Yeah, that's what we thought too, Candace. But some things you can't control, so we'll just pick on Mars instead.
There you go.
She said she couldn't even show us the truck because it was locked up inside the shop. Now, wait a minute.
You got the keys to the shop, Candace.
Isn't her last name Sneed at Sneed Ford? You'd think that somebody'd give her a key.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe she doesn't want a key.
Well, there's that.
Wanakee, isn't that an island in Florida?
No, it's this Hawaiian guy I know.
That's Warnakee.
Warnakee.
Here's a very interesting story. Mr. Mars, Stellantis says, which is the owner of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Plymouth,
Ram.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they don't. Yeah,
Fiat.
I guess they don't have
Alfa Romeo and the toenail.
and the toenail. Mm-hmm.
You see them advertising that on TV now. The toenail.
I saw the toenail on there, but they
I haven't
don't
seen
ever
it.
say it.
No.
They don't ever say
they're
the toenail.
embarrassed.
Are they?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a black toenail with the 442 in yellow written on the top of it.
Call your car a toenail.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's been all over the place. You can take the Alpha out of Italy, but you can't take the Italy out of Alpha.
Yeah.
Pretty creative. I thought pretty creative ad.
So anyway, the parent company is called Stellantis.
Mm-hmm.
Stellantis says dealers in the states following California's emissions guidelines
Right.
can only get gasoline vehicles ordered by customers. Dealers in other states no longer are receiving any plug-in vehicles without a customer order. So they're trying to please everybody.
Yeah, but
Screw
following California's leads, like, watching the toilet water swirl while you're inside of it,
Inside the toilet?
in the swirl of the toilet.
I see. Well, all I can think of is build the cars, let the states sort it out. Let them sort it out. Here are the cars. We sell cars. We'll sell them to anybody. If you want one, talk to your local dealer or your politician.
Because they want to be so woke.
Yeah.
Stellantis dealer David Kelleher
Did
is
so well for Budweiser.
taking every plug-in hybrid Jeep Wrangler he can get from the factory these days. That's because the automaker is no longer allocating gasoline-only Wranglers to his dealership in Pennsylvania, one of 14 states following emissions guidelines set by California. Although the rules don't require the automakers to sell a certain percentage of zero-emission vehicles until 2026,
Idiots.
Stellantis said it has stopped shipping internal combustion models to dealerships in those 14 states unless customers have ordered them. Meanwhile, dealers in non-CARB states can no longer get the Wrangler 4xE, which is the hybrid, and other plug-ins without a customer order. About 36%.
So you're screwed on both sides of it.
About 36% of the U.S. population lives in the 14 CARB states, according to the 2023 Census Bureau. 4 additional states are adopting the California standards for future models. Dealers in the CARB states worry that they'll be at a disadvantage if consumers start crossing state lines to buy gasoline vehicles from another store's inventory rather than wait for a factory order.
Yeah, they could do that.
Some are working to trade for gasoline vehicles with stores in adjacent states.
Heck, consumers will drive 5 miles to get gas in a different state.
Well, hell, we drove to a different state to get Coors beer. Why not? Back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they didn't sell it in Texas. Just saying.
You didn't drink Pearl
Ugh.
or Lone Star?
Never, ever, ever.
Pearl make you smart.
Yeah, and you do know that back when the Astrodome was open, I think that it was either Pearl or Lone Star that they sold. They didn't sell the other beers.
Probably Lone Star. I don't remember back then.
I don't like beer anyway, and that just does not do it for me at all. Anyway.
Yep, we got Richard.
We do?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, he's walking somewhere. Let's get him on right now. Richard Tomlin. Are you there?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Well, we're doing fine. Where are you walking? Where are you walking to?
Just walking down from the car, chasing more demons and dealing with altitude sickness for some of the crew and altitude sickness for the car. So always a challenge, right?
So
Always
you're
a
at
challenge.
Pikes Peak. When does the event get going?
Tomorrow morning. So we are right now about 2 hours from staging cars. So we stage our cars the day before. We'll park our cars overnight, and then we'll start about midnight making our way up the mountain as far as teams and crews to get ready for tomorrow's race. First car will leave the starting line at 8:01.
Yeah, I heard they opened the gates to spectators at 1 o'clock in the morning this morning, or tomorrow morning, for them to drive up the hill to find a place to park.
What's interesting is I'm going to use the word as a fan, as a spectator, or even as an American, or from a foreign land, the only day of the year you can camp out on Pikes Peak overnight is tonight, once a year. And I think it's like 250 passes they sell, and you're allowed to camp on Pikes Peak overnight this evening, so you don't have to be up there at 1 a.m. to make your way up the mountain. You're able just to show up, go camp out overnight, get up out of bed, and go to a race. So pretty special opportunity there.
So do they have kind of designated parking areas for people? How do you park a car on a racetrack?
Right. There's a whole lot of designated parking areas. There is assigned spots, so to speak. Like the easiest one for people to talk about is Devil's Playground, which is up at the top. That's the best viewing area of the track. You can see it from you can see more of the track from that position. So it's pretty good. But yeah, you've got assigned areas: Glen Cove, ski grounds, trying to remember them all. There's picnic grounds. So they've got plenty of parking for that as well.
We were talking about television coverage, and somebody said, oh, there isn't any. I said, there's got to be television coverage. And I guess you can fly a helicopter up there. I wouldn't know, but certainly there's television coverage somewhere live tomorrow.
There is the coverage live on the Mobile One app, and then Mobile One YouTube. We'll have live coverage of the event streaming from start to finish. Tanner Faust commentating. Hayward Wagner, SCCA, will be commentating. Tommy Bobila, he actually crashed that Camaro last week, I guess. Crashed a 68 Camaro from Dallas, Texas. So he'll be doing commentary instead of racing this year. But yeah, it'll be from basically 8 o'clock until about 11:30 or 1. We've got 67 cars to make it up the mountain. We've got the Huna Pegasus, which will be making we'll call it a parade lap at the end. So Ken Block's daughter will be driving the car from bottom to top. Ken Block's wife, Lucy, is running a Alpha Sierra kart. So imagine like a super, super small Class 10 buggy with electric motors in it. So she'll be up there as well. So it's been a great week testing with the blocks, and getting to know them a little bit better as well.
Yeah. How do you avoid altitude sickness with a car? We drive an electric car. I saw there was a guy with a Tesla Plaid is listed on the entry list.
Yeah, so that's Randy Post, and it's a group called Underground Performance out of Arizona. What I will tell you about them is the car's quick. They made Fast 15 again this year. But it's a funny story. They've got to invest in a trailer because they showed up with a trailer that you would normally use to put a bulldozer on. So they've got like 25 feet of ramps to get this car off, and it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to unload it and load it every time. It is I don't understand it. I like rent a trailer from U-Haul, you'd be a lot happier. So it's fun stuff up here. Everybody has their challenges. Cars with altitude are crazy. We had our car tuned there in Houston by Alex at Pitts Performance. You guys know him well. Does a lot of the Dodge, the Hemi, new C8 stuff, and car made 575 wheel. We were super happy with it. Everything was great. We come up here and it's burping and belching and just not happy. And after spending 2 days with some local guys, we found a lot of small changes that made huge differences because of the altitude that we're at. And there's always something to learn in cars, always.
What is the altitude down at the base of the mountain?
Well, where we start in, it's going to be 10 miles where we start, 9 mile. But we start at about 8,000 feet. So I'm going to say it's like 7,600, 7,800 is where we start. And then we race to the 14. So,
oh, my God. So you start halfway up the mountain.
Yeah. So it's a designated spot. It's been the same spot for years, and that's what allows a lot of the parking down below and a place to store the trailers.
I got you.
It's just getting everybody in there for one time. And you think back to when we were still running bikes up here, you're talking at that time there was 100 cars running and almost 50 bikes. So now you start talking about 150 trucks, trailers, and then you pack in all the fans as well. Parking is an absolute premium up here. But it's a spectacle you won't see anywhere else in the world.
And you said that the racing starts at 8 o'clock. Is that 8 o'clock Mountain Time or 8 o'clock Houston time?
8 o'clock Mountain Time, so it'll be 9 o'clock for you guys.
Yeah.
So are you done with your inspection part of it? Because that's part of the reason you're up there as one of the safety
I have one more car to
inspectors.
inspect. Some guys from Sweden. They got in super late, missed some practices, missed some tech opportunities, and we got most of it done last night at FanFest, but I'll meet with them again this morning, give the final blessing. That'll be the last car that's teched, and we will be ready and set to go.
Did they bring a Saab?
No, a Volkswagen with some crazy motor that only 9 of them were ever made in the world, but 4-cylinder Volkswagen that makes 750 at the wheels here in Colorado.
What is the fastest car, in your estimation, that's there today?
It's probably going to be one of two, which is at the top, which is Robin Shute. He qualified number 1 again, and he put a beating on the Ford van, the Super Van 4.2. The lower section, I want to say he ran a 3-minute, 25-second qualify. The Ford van was a 3:43.
What is he
So
driving?
that's between first and second.
And what kind of car is that?
It's called a Wolf chassis. Looks like a older prototype style car, and runs a little Honda K24 D-strokes down to a 1.8 liter and a couple of big turbos feeding it.
Jeez.
And the turbos have they're less prone to altitude sickness because you can force more air into the engine, correct?
Correct. And one of the things that I've learned in the last couple of years is the big problem they have now is as you get to the top, because you're trying to compensate for the air, you start increasing RPMs and are over revving the turbos, which of course causes little pieces of metal to go places you don't want it to go.
A little bit, just a little bit.
So there's some challenges with that, but there are people much smarter than us that are calculating those numbers and figuring that stuff out. But last year specifically, we had 3 turbos that I know of that failed on the pass up the mountain, and it's what they call overspeed.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean, it happens.
So, Richard, when the event starts tomorrow at 9 or at 8 local, what are you doing as part of your safety stuff?
So tomorrow I will actually be at the top of the mountain. It'll be the first time I've been at the top of the mountain for the finish, and I will be taking care of any protests that happen, any conflicts between members and class. There is a prize purse for this race, so there is a lot at stake. Also sponsorship dollars for where people finish. So tempers can get a little hot, and I'll be up there to administer and enforce the rules and make sure everybody's playing by the same rule set.
You're the enforcer, huh?
Yeah, tomorrow I get to be that guy.
You're the
it's
umpire.
okay. I mean,
He's the umpire.
yeah, I got broad shoulders. We'll be fine.
Well, I saw that the Broadmoor was involved in the sponsorship of the program. Are you getting housed at the Broadmoor?
No, that'd be really nice. That place is amazing.
Isn't it?
Pikes Peak, the race was actually started by the Broadmoor Hotel. That was part of their traveling and bringing people to Colorado Springs. So they've been a part of it for 101 years.
I wonder if they have like a little museum at the Broadmoor, because for me, I always remember some of the Cadillac Vista roof cars they had at the Broadmoor. Pretty cool looking cars.
They do have a gift shop.
Yeah, they have a very cool museum over there, and then you've also got the Pikes Peak Museum here in town that cycles cars out. They have 6 to 7 cars on display at a time, and they cycle cars in and out of it every 3 to 4 months. So there's a lot to see around here about Pikes Peak, the race specifically, and it's a hell of a vacation spot. There's all kinds of things to do here.
So how's your car going to do during the event?
We're pretty excited, actually. So even though we had all the hurdles jumping over, you guys understand the timing, but he ran a 4:25 qualify yesterday. On his run prior to that, he'd run a 4:50. So he had a 25-second uptick, and it's just getting him seat time in the car. He's from Romania. He's been over here about 2 weeks, but it's limited time you can get in his car to get it out on track. And we even went to a local racetrack to give him some more time. And the more time he gets in the car, the faster he gets. The car has the capabilities. We're trying to get the driver up to speed at this point.
Very
good. Cool.
But
No
we
pressure.
should be. We qualified 27th out of 70 cars. We expect to be in the top 20.
And you talk about 4 minutes and 20 seconds to get up the mountain, because I'm kind of an older mindset on this. I remember way back, probably back in the 80s, when they finally broke the 10-minute barrier, when it was still – a lot of it was still dirt, and how that was, everybody talked about, they'll never do that. They'll never do that. And then they broke the 9-minute barrier. Now you're talking 4.5 minutes up the mountain. That's
the
7,000 feet.
the 4.5 minute, Conrad, is just the lower section, the lower third.
okay.
The record time overall right now is 7 minutes, 57 seconds, held by Romain Dumas in an electric Volkswagen that was built for Pikes Peak.
That's insane.
We expect the record to drop this year because of the weather conditions we're looking at. Obviously, you can see out here, it's really beautiful right now. There's Pikes Peak in the background. You may be able to see the snow cap there. But Robin Shute is on pace to break that 757 barrier. And it's great because Robin is still a very small team. You can't call him a one-man show. I think he's got 6 people on his team. But to come in and compete with a company like Ford that has spent millions of dollars on this super van to be here, flown people halfway around the world to come over and win an event, and for Robin to be able to still be in front speaks volumes to, the heart that people have to get in there and work and turn a wrench and make things faster.
When are you coming back to work in reality here in hot Houston?
Well, depending on where we finish, if we end up trophying tomorrow, which is entirely possible, we qualified 4th in class. If we finish 3rd in class, that's a pay position. We'll get a big trophy to bring home, and we'll stick around Monday to pick all that up.
Cool.
Otherwise, we'll go to bed as soon as we get off the mountain, jump up Monday morning, and make the 16-hour trek back.
Good. Well, I want to bring the Corvette to you so you can work on its power degradation problem.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you probably later next week.
Well, he'll have a lot of experience, because that's what he's having problems with altitude sickness right now.
And no doubt. Richard, it's great to talk to you, and the best of luck to you and the team. We'll be following you.
Appreciate it. Tune in, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Richard Tomlin, Apex Auto Works down in Alvin.
I'm going to the YouTube. I'll watch it.
Will
Absolutely.
You? Yeah, it's good. All right, time now for the events calendar. Conrad has that.
So tomorrow is the Lone Star Drift Academy Round 3 at the Houston Police Academy. Also on the 25th is Houston Cars and Coffee at Little Woodrow's. On July 15th is the Texas Road to Revolution, departing from the Black Bear Diner on 9510 FM 1960 bypass in Humble, Texas. Back to you, Don.
Thank you very much there, Conrad. Okay, time now for this hour's car review. And Mr. Mars has torn up and ruined a Chevy Tahoe in his test drive.
Let me tell you, not only a Chevy Tahoe, but a 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe RST 4-wheel drive. This is the bright red one that is gorgeous. And let me just tell you up front, if you ever get a chance to pay that $495 for that custom red tint paint, that'll be the best custom paint you're going to ever get in your life.
You get video and all I get is still photography on my car reviews. How is that?
He does
the loading. He loads it.
I know the editor.
Yeah, you're it. I get hosed.
Go ahead and start your interview.
Yeah, start your interview. So the Chevrolet Tahoe is one of the best leading selling full-size SUVs that's out there on the market. There's a lot of them. This one comes at 6 different trim levels, starting with the LS as the base. And the RST model is actually about mid-trim level between the LS and the High Country. So it is a full-size SUV. This particular one came equipped with second-row bucket seats, so it's a 7-passenger vehicle. 6-passenger, my bad, excuse me, because I tried to get in the back seat. And the changes from last year, the RST model, it's got a few trim level changes and stuff. But you're going to find the black grille up front, got the black gloss black wheels, got some badging on it. It's got the one we had the optional radiant red tint coat. And again, that is going to be the best $495 custom paint job you will ever get a chance to get. You're going to find LED lighting all the way around, the headlamps, tail lights, the daytime running lamps. Got the power folding heated outside mirrors, power lift gate. The had the upgraded package, the optional. I thought it was kind of neat because the roof rack, the roof side rails, it's an option delete. You can take them off, and it just makes all the difference in the way the vehicle looks. Roll on the 20-inch gloss black wheels, which just gives it this really bad donkey look whenever it's going down the road. I love the way it looks and the way it sets because the suspension on it, they use a lot of the components off of the Pursuit package, the same package that the Highway Patrol gets here in the state of Texas.
The PPV.
It's on this vehicle. So it sets just a hair lower. It's got bigger springs, bigger shocks. It's got everything that black and white's got on it.
Do they offer steel wheels with the dog dish hubcaps?
That'd be cool.
Probably not,
Just
but
the
I bet you
PPV.
can find somebody to swap with.
Yeah, I just going to say. That's what I'd want.
So inside on this one, unlike I think the PPV package has, we had the leather interior, so we had the bucket seats in the first and second row. The front row is heated. Third row is the 60/40 bench folding. It's power folding, by the way, so that makes it really nice. We had the 10.2-inch touchscreen in the dash where we found the Chevrolet Entertainment. We also had the Chevrolet Entertainment system to go with it, which means there's 2 screens on the back of the front passenger seat, 12-inch screens that the rear passengers can use for their video content, and Apple, Android, everything hooks up on this thing technology-wise. And we had the 9-speaker Bose audio system in it, so you could fill it up really good. Now, to make all this work, it's an RST, so you got to have a 6.2-liter V8. Now, because we had the RST package here with the performance upgrade, the dealer actually installed a performance intake and a catback exhaust system on this vehicle, which bumped up the horsepower by 13 to 433 horsepower, and the torque by 7 pounds per square foot, so it's at 467. Now, this has got it rated at 0 to 60, according to Chevrolet, 5.78 seconds, top speed 124 miles an hour. Now, this vehicle...
So who
did you
cares
get there,
about
Morris?
the top speed?
I'm just
Is
making...
Chevy Tahoe a top speed of a Chevy Tahoe?
It's important to the police.
Yes, right. It is. So this vehicle, it will not tow as much as you can get a Tahoe to load and tow because of the suspension and stuff on it. So this is rated at 7,000 pounds to tow, which is more than ample. Now, the EPA says you should be looking for 14 in the city, Highway 18, and combined 16. Now, I did make a point because of the time I had it. I didn't get to drive much on the highway, but I did make a point of going out on the highway. And according to the computer, at 75 miles an hour, the speed limit at the time, you could get 15 miles to the gallon out of it on the highway. However, I drove at 135 miles around town, other than that little jaunt on the highway. So I only got 12.76 during the time I drove.
Oh, my God. Why doesn't that surprise me?
Oopsie daisy.
6.2.
So, which it really didn't bother me because I had all the performance aspects, the police pursuit suspension, like I said, the springs, the lower ride height, bigger braking. Now, that performance package, I will say, added on top of the RST, is an $8,500 option on top of the RST package of the base trim. So a base trim will run you about $65,300. Now, the base model of the RST is $70,415. However, because we had the performance package on top of that, you're looking at $81,305 as an MSRP.
What is the base price of a Tahoe? A standard white
what I found
rubber
was
floor mats.
53,
I don't think they make rubber
65,000
floor mats.
What?
Well, that's what I found. That's what I wrote down as the base trim for the LS model.
Mike, what does RST stand for?
It stands for really strong
Trucking.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know.
Really strong trucking.
Yeah. If you're looking for something to compare this to, which was a little difficult because of the luxury component and the performance package, but what I ended up finding was the Mercedes-Benz GLS, you can get comparable horsepower and things, full-size SUV, $84,944. The Ford Expedition, Ford Expedition has a stealth package, all-wheel drive, that I found. I did not ever hear of it before. It's at $81,870. Again, comparable horsepower. Dodge Durango SRT 392. It runs out at $81,195. Not the Hellcat, but the 392. So it puts those three are kind of comparable.
And the Hellcat's more money.
Oh yeah, it bumps it up even more money. So when you look at the full size SUV performances out there, there's several of them, but I'd be hard pressed to find one that you're not going to like better than this Tahoe.
According to Edmunds, the 2024 Chevy Tahoe is estimated to start around $55,000.
I said 53, so it's close.
Okay.
All right.
But you can get it all the way up to 84.
Well, that's with this package. No. This is 3/4 of the way up the trim level tree. There's still 3 different more trim levels to go up.
So if you're lucky, you can get a $100,000 Tahoe.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between a Tahoe and a Suburban?
Length.
I think it's 11 inches in length.
All behind the third row seat.
I see. Okay.
Storage behind the third row seat.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
You know, I see in the preview screen.
You see him.
Mr. California.
Yeah.
Mr. GQ. Mr. Jack Nerad. And he's going to be joining us here at the bottom of the hour.
Can't wait. Jack is a cool guy.
I know he is. And we're going to find out about California politics from him.
No.
Conrad, turn Conrad's microphone off.
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. And 30-minute podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise-in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise-in date right here on In-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Jack Nerad coming this way for a road trip from California.
Hello.
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 Hello. Later, a look at the stories making headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zeek, and I'm Don Armstrong, along with Jack Nerad, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, look at that background, Jack.
Woo-hoo.
What in
Check it
the
out,
busy?
He's got a whole new setup.
Are those all books you wrote?
Yeah, every one of them. I can say I carried them all.
You carried them all. You didn't
Yeah, I
move,
haven't
did
written
you?
them, but I put them up on the shelf.
Did you guys move?
No.
Is this
just
the
kinda-
same room that you've been coming to us from before?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Oh,
I kind of changed it up a little.
so you
Hope
he's
you
got
like it.
so clearly he's got multiple studios.
He has a palatial estate.
And,
Yes.
and he now has a
Yeah,
banner,
yeah, right.
America on the Road.
Yeah.
I love that, Jack.
I
We-
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we like it a lot. So, hey, it's good to see you. How have you been?
I've been terrific, actually.
Well, that's
in fact, I'm headed toward Texas. I'm really excited about it.
yes. So,
4th of July
but you-
weekend, going to head to Dallas-Fort Worth area to Cedar Creek Lake, and we're going to spend a week there. So
Bring
Perfect.
a swamp cooler
Perfect.
because it's hot.
Yeah, it's
Oh, I know.
it's going to be really hot. And matter of fact, there's jokes floating around because so many Californians have moved to the Austin area, and somebody's been joking around on the internet, going, "Yeah, well now that they're here in Austin, we've found a way to get them out of Texas, and that's give them a summer, one summer here in Texas in the Hill Country, and they'll be back to California in no time." We don't.
Right. I figure I pay a weather tax living in California.
You every
Big
kind
weather
of tax you pay out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, are you planning on moving here finally?
We talk about it. We really do. I mean, there's a lot to like about Texas. We've loved Texas. Two of our girls went to college in Texas, and they love it, and they are living there. So, there's a lot to like about
So
that state,
we did a remote broadcast 2 weeks ago at a place called Granbury, Texas.
Sure. Been there.
Yeah, have you? So
You
you've
need
been
to be
there.
there.
I had there. I was there for the Texas Truck Rodeo, I think, probably decades ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Well, I will.
Yeah.
I will tell you
What a great little bedroom community it is for the Fort Worth area.
and especially when you get to be our age, we try to move away from all the heavy traffic and all of that sort of stuff. And the nice thing about Granbury is it's close enough to Fort Worth that if you want to go see the Fort Worth Symphony, it's only a little drive up there.
Yeah.
Not bad at all to get to. But at any rate, just
Well,
thought
that's
I'd
a big
offer that up.
consideration for me. Where is the nearest symphony?
Well, there's one here. There's one here in Houston, and I know that you're a big ballet and symphony kind of guy.
Yeah, mostly ballet. See, symphony not so much.
I got
ballet.
you. All right. And your
Guys
symphony.
in tights. That's what I like.
That's right.
Then
Well,
like
you are from
tight
California.
That's right.
You'll love Conrad.
Yeah.
So, Jack, how are things out in California? I keep hearing very ugly things about San Francisco, and I know that you were not there, but apparently.
Well, there's ugly things in the Southern California area too, in terms of homelessness, and that's heartrending, of course, to see. And at the same time, I mean, it's also heartrending for the people who aren't homeless, who have to deal with the situations where people are, living in the street, and it's unsanitary, and there's a lot of crime, a lot of drug use. It's kind of scary.
Well, and I don't think that it's unlike too many other major cities around the world. It's just at a more pronounced rate, and I think it's
Austin has its fair share of it as well.
Yeah, and I've seen that. The problem is we've spent millions, close to billions, I think, in this state, and we just have more homeless. I mean, maybe I don't think that was the goal of this, massive spending. But the program that they put in place has just been a failure because it doesn't really address the root causes, and the root causes are, probably drug use and mental illness much more so than anything else.
Agreed. Well, how are things in the car world? Jack is fortunate because Jack gets to go places and gets the latest invites to all of the reveals in the car industry. What have you been to lately, Jack?
Well, the latest reveal actually was in Austin, Texas. You're just talking about Austin, and I jetted down to Austin to see the two twin Lexus reveals. They unveiled the all-new GX, which is cool. I think they've done a nice job styling that vehicle, and it's now decidedly an off-road vehicle, and I think it's styled that way, so I think it's going to be a big winner.
Now, isn't the GX taken from an older Japanese version of an off-road vehicle?
It is, and it always has been, but it hasn't been styled that way, and I think a lot of people who bought it have no conception of the off-road capabilities that vehicle has always had. But now they're making it pretty plain, and I think that's probably a good move. And at the same time, they've introduced a different vehicle, another three-row vehicle called the TX that fills what I think is a big hole in the Lexus lineup, and that is kind of a more on-road oriented family-type three-row vehicle, large three-row vehicle. I think you were just talking about the Chevy Tahoe. It's essentially a Tahoe competitor.
I see. Wow. And where does it fit in the lineup of Lexus?
Well, it fits above the RX, and probably you would say, below the LX. I forget what the number of that LX is these days, but the LX. So it's in that that space, and it's more on-road oriented. It's based on the Grand Highlander. It's going to be built in Indiana. It's interesting that it's a Lexus vehicle that's going to be built in the United States, built in Indiana. On the same line as the Grand Highlander. I think it's going to be terrific. I think it's going to be
because all of the Lexus I thought were built in Japan.
Yeah, typically up till now.
So this will be a new thing. Okay, so what else have you run across?
Well, I was just talking to the folks from Karma. Do you remember Karma?
Yes.
Do you remember that car?
I thought they went out of business.
Well, they went out of business a couple of times. They now have more money behind them. And I'm excited about what they're liable to launch here. I'm told by their people that they've got a real cool supercar, ready to go. Wow. And I think we're going to see that in the fall. So I'm excited about that.
Another pure EV, because I think that's what Karma's kind of known for, is just pure EVs.
Yeah. Any gasoline models that stand out that you've driven lately?
Geez, let's talk about that a little bit. Although I've been driving a lot of electrics, actually. I drove the Mustang Mach-E and the Nissan Leaf back-to-back in the last couple of weeks. I'm currently driving an Infiniti GX80, another large three-row, essentially a competitor to the TX that's going to come out. And I'm impressed with that vehicle. I think they've done a nice job with it. It's kind of a sleeper in the luxury segment there, the Infiniti G80.
Yeah, and a good-looking car. I like the style they have on that car. The front end and the rear end treatment's really nice.
Yeah, well, when I'm driving that thing and I'm looking down on full-size pickup trucks, I think, oh, wow, this is kind of a serious vehicle. But
that's
it's
a cool
essentially
look.
what it's based on, right?
Yeah.
So, makes sense.
Do you get lots of waves and thumbs up and people slowing down to take a look at it?
I've had that. Yeah, I think a lot of people like the looks of it. And, it's one of those things where you see a different shape, right? And you go, well, what is that? And then people kind of swarm around, try to figure out exactly, what that model is.
Yeah.
Well, that says a lot in the car culture of California that it creates that kind of buzz.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of electrics, Jack, a couple of things. One is, are you seeing more charging places around town?
I would not say it's obvious. And I think that's one of the big problems with charging stations. I mean, gasoline stations kind of advertise the fact that they're there and they're in very convenient locations. With charging stations, they could be anywhere, behind the back of a warehouse store or, near a hotel or something like that. It's just hard to figure out. I mean, it's a whole different business model. And, I don't know that it's a particularly good business model because most of them are unattended. And I've heard many stories, you probably run into this too, where you go to a charging station and the charging station you want to use is inoperable. Maybe it's the only a DC fast charger in the array there and it's not working. And then if you were to call the company that owns it, they would go, we had no idea it wasn't working, right? And it might not have been working for days. And a lot of times that's the case. So, I mean, that's a real struggle for people who really rely on that. If you're doing a long distance trip in an electric vehicle, even with a fairly large amount of range, say 300 miles of range, you're going to want to know where you can charge and find that to be pretty reliable. And I don't think people have seen that.
Yeah, and assume that all of them work. In that regard, let's talk about the Tesla charging port. And it seems as though that everybody finally is going to decide that Tesla charging port is the way to go. What do you think about that?
Well, I think they're doing it because in the IRA, or I think it was associated with the IRA, Tesla's essentially been persuaded, bribed, depending on how you look at it, to open up some of its superchargers to non-Tesla owners. If I were a Tesla owner, I'd be kind of upset about that, but that's a different story. And so then to make that work, you have to use that kind of charging port. So, it's kind of the Betamax VHS thing that we saw, 40 years ago, those kind of things where there's incompatibilities of very similar kind of technology.
But don't you think it's because Tesla has got so far ahead of everybody else about building out their infrastructure? I mean,
I think
the government can't even
that's
keep
true,
up.
And there's so many Teslas out there. I mean, when you look at the number of electric vehicles in service now, they're mostly Teslas. I mean, it's dominant by a huge margin. You see a bunch of other models coming into the market, but in terms of vehicles in service, I mean, it's mostly Tesla Model 3.
Yep,
that's true.
Have you ever driven one?
I have. And, it's interesting to drive. I think electrics have their own idiosyncrasies about them and their own pleasures and their own, lack of pleasure is some of it. There's something kind of appliance-like about it, like driving a dryer or a washing machine.
Or a microwave.
Yeah, or a Norge.
Yeah.
A Norge.
Yeah, a Norge. Yeah, I remember Norge. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's interesting you should say that, and that everybody seems to be following their lead. The great big huge touch screen in the middle is got
like lemmings over the cliff.
Yeah, and I appreciate the largeness of the screen, but I don't think that the largeness of the screen should actually sell you on the car. To me, it takes up an enormous amount of room. And I've been in a Tesla. I am very impressed by the whole thing. I think it rides great, and obviously the acceleration is unbelievable. And I know somebody that I work with that owns one. He and his wife love the thing. They take it from Houston to San Antonio and back. They have this one place that they stop to charge up, to top off, if you will. They can make it all the way if they're cautious and really keep an eye on the accelerator pedal. But he loves the thing, and he drives it back and forth to work. And I will say that, 20 miles one way to work and 20 miles back to home is not much for him. But I think that I think it's a thing for a certain group of people, and I think that it is going to be just another coin in the fountain, if you will, of all of these different types of vehicles that are available today.
I agree with you, and I think they work best that way, right? If you have two vehicles in your household fleet, two is not much of a fleet, but if you have a conventional car or even a hybrid, something with essentially unlimited range if you fill it up with gas, and then you use an electric for around town. Like I had a Nissan Leaf with about 200 miles of range recently. That's the higher range Nissan Leaf. and Leaf is essentially the first mass market brand electric vehicle that came to market. It came to market in 2011, then they totally revised it for 2018. And it was just fine for that kind of purpose. I could go 30 miles and come back and, never worry about it. I charged it overnight using 110 volt electricity, and I'd have, 200 miles of range the next day, and everything was fine. If I wanted to go cross country in that thing, I would be pulling my hair out. But for that kind of use, if you had another vehicle to go long distances or carry more stuff, it would work just fine. The interesting thing, though, that isn't the goal. The goal is to make everything electric. At least the goal from some people is to make everything electric. And that's a no-go, I think. Certainly in my lifetime, I mean, up till 20, we've got vehicles on the road that'll probably, gas vehicles on the road that'll be on the road 20 years from now. That's a long time out in the future, right? So it's kind of interesting what we're trying to do here. I don't know that it's been well thought out, or that even the individual consumer is thinking about, well, I buy an electric. Yeah, this may contribute to declining greenhouse gases, but talk about a drop in the bucket, a spit in the ocean.
Well, it is. So when you say what we're trying to do, let's not quite use we're so much as what you are. Let's say they are. There's a group.
And they are trying to impose upon us. I mean,
Exactly.
I like the idea that
Watch your pronouns, fellas.
we can decide, we as individuals can decide what we want to buy, how we want to live our lives, what we want to eat, what we want to, what kind of cars and how big we want them to be, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you want a Ford, you want a Chevy, that's
Well, to you, yeah. Well, I will tell you that the guy that I work with that has the Tesla, his wife has an older model Mercedes-Benz, I don't know what it is, the SL, the little coupe, and she loves it. It's older. It's been paid for quite a while. And he told me, he says, yeah, she's kind of getting ready to get rid of that. I think we're going to get another gasoline car. Not exactly sure. We really do like the Mercedes-Benz. And I said, well, then that makes sense. So you got a gasoline and an electric.
Right.
So, it gives a
just
little
like
variety.
you were saying,
Yeah, one you can get out of town in, and the other one you can get halfway out of town in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Get out of town, but not get back.
yeah. Well, let's hope you can get back anyway. So when are you leaving to come to Texas?
We leave on the 30th of June, so that it's I think
Coming
next
up.
weekend.
6 days.
6 days from now, something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, we hope that the weather is not going to deter any of your time with your kids and the visit to Texas, because we kind of brag about the fact that everybody's welcome in Texas, and we want everybody to have a good time here.
Well, we always have a great time. This will be our third year going to Cedar Creek Lake, and we take a lake house, and we're mostly in the water, when it gets hot, and we have a blast. So I love Texas, and love seeing the kids, of course.
Well, and the other thing that you must do if you've never been, you got to stop at Buc-ee's somewhere.
Oh, I've done that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That,
I am.
That's actually a destination.
Huge proponent of everything they do, especially their hot sandwiches and.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Lots of charging stations too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, Jack, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for spending the time with us today. And we hope to catch up with you after your vacation and talk about cars again soon.
Well, I look forward to it. Great to talk to you guys as always. Those books are coming your way. So
fantastic.
He's
be ready
sending
for
us a
that.
copy of his book.
And maybe we can talk about it next time. So
Wonderful.
Terrific.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks,
Jack
Jack.
Nerad, and that's America on the Road. All right.
Very cool.
We're kind of wrapping things up here for this edition of the In Wheel Time Car
Kind of
Talk
went quick
Show.
today. A little quick.
It has, yeah. Cadillac plans to introduce the electric version of its Escalade full-size SUV on August 9th in New York. GM luxury brand on Tuesday confirmed the reveal date and a news release and teaser video for the Escalade IQ.
I wasn't invited.
Which it said will be built at the automaker's Factory Zero electric vehicle assembly plant in Detroit. Automotive News has reported that the Escalade IQ is expected to go on sale in 2024. Cadillac did not share details Tuesday on the production launch. The gasoline-powered Escalade has been Cadillac's top-selling U.S. model for the past 2 years as the brand focused on production of more profitable vehicles during the microchip shortage. Cadillac working to electrify its lineup like everybody else is. And
How heavy do you think that'll be?
Oh, my God. Can you imagine? The Escalade IQ will follow the Lyric midsize electric crossover,
Which they can't produce right now.
which is on sale now, and the Celestiq or Celestic. What do you want to call it?
Celestic.
I don't like Celestic. That sounds too plastic.
Call it Cadillac.
Okay, well, there's that. A hand-built $300,000 plus electric sedan that'll start production in December.
Yeah, right.
Here's an interesting thing. The U.S. traffic deaths are down in 2023, even as more miles are driven. The agency, NHTSA, estimated 9,330 people died in vehicle crashes in the first 3 months of the year, down 3.3% from last year.
Because they're obeying the signs.
Well, and the other thing is they're doing that, and the other thing is that they're driving more miles. So I guess that's a good thing.
Well, you got to think too. The technology of today's cars is definitely geared to protect the occupants. Automatic braking, lane departure warning and stuff. All of that stuff I think has had a real impact on lowering the death rate.
So it's working.
Speaking of which, technology is more prevalent, which creates more opportunities for problems to arise, and issues are cropping up with basic vehicle functions, such as the ease of opening doors. That, according to J.D. Power's 2023 U.S. Initial Quality Study, those factors contributed to a record high number of vehicle problems this year, building on quality issues last year that stemmed from supply chain shortages and remote work, according to J.D. Power. On average, owners reported 192 problems per 100 vehicles industry-wide, according to the survey, up from 180 a year earlier, and 162 in 2021. The study, conducted from February through May, published Thursday, based on responses from 93,000 buyers and lessees of new 2023 model year vehicles.
Yeah, and I think some of that's driven by the complexity of the car. We laugh and giggle about people never read owner's manuals, and they don't. And today, in a lot of cars, there is no owner's manual. You have to figure out how to get it to display on the screen on the vehicle. And people aren't going to read that either.
And the book is in the computer on the screen.
Right. So, all of that means, hey, how does this work? I'm pissed off. I'm going to give it a bad score.
Yep. New vehicle quality improved at 12 of the 33 brands ranked in the study. Dodge was number one in quality.
Oh, that's surprising.
Followed by Ram, Alfa Romeo, Porsche, Maserati, Jaguar, Subaru, Jeep, Mitsubishi, Audi, Chrysler, and Volvo.
And whose survey is that again?
J.D. Power.
Okay.
They're the king ding of surveys.
Yeah.
I question that.
Dodge was number one.
I question that.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yes.
Yeah, Dodge, followed by Ram. Not that they were flawless by any stretch of the imagination.
But, to outscore Lexus and Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. So here, in descending order, I'll give it to you. Dodge, Ram, Alfa Romeo, Buick, Chevrolet, GMC, Porsche, because Porsche used to be at the top of the list, Cadillac, Kia, Lexus, and this is in descending order now, Genesis, Mini, Nissan, Maserati, Jaguar.
Where's industry average fall in?
Industry average is below BMW and above Mitsubishi.
Okay.
So the number one is Dodge at 140, and average on the study is 192. Problems with vehicles per 100.
Says a lot for the Dodge product.
I know. Well, they've been building the same thing for a long time. You think they'd finally get it right,
Well, you got to think Dodge. What's a Dodge anymore? Charger, Challenger.
Yep, all those are going away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Apparently.
We finally got it right. Now it's going to go away.
Lithium producers are growing anxious that delays in mine permitting, staffing shortages, and inflation may hinder their ability to supply enough of the battery metal to meet the world's aggressive electrification timelines.
Duh.
Once a niche metal used primarily in ceramics and pharmaceuticals, lithium is now one of the world's most in-demand metals, given aggressive EV plans from the global auto industry. At stake is the pace with which electric vehicles could displace internal combustion engines, a key goal of the green energy transition. I don't think that that's going to replace it. I think it may become a different component in the overall sales, like we were talking with Jack about.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate,
It is what it is.
Yeah. Ford planning additional layoffs to its salaried workforce in the coming weeks, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Although the cuts are not expected to be as large as previous rounds, the automaker, which could announce the moves as early as next week, is expected to prune workers from multiple business units, including its Ford Blue combustion vehicle division and its Model E electric vehicle unit, according to sources. Last year, Ford laid off about 3,000 workers around the globe. This year, they slashed more than 1,000 jobs in China and some 3,800 jobs in Europe over the next 3 years. Okay.
Yep.
No big deal unless you're one of them.
Yeah.
In the electric division.
Well, apparently. Yeah, I thought that was interesting that some of the cuts are coming from the electric division. Didn't you find that interesting?
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. Either they had way too many people working in that division, which wouldn't surprise me, or it's just not as profitable as, people think it should be.
And even though that they keep raising the price of the Ford
Lightning.
And if you cut back production, then you've got an overstaff.
Right.
Too many people.
All right, we're back in the studio next weekend. And, next weekend is July 4th weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Got any big plans? Am I
No,
invited
just-
over?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
We're
You
not
are
drinking?
now.
I know. I invited
You can't say
myself.
no on the air.
No,
I know.
It's
Well,
fine.
you can.
He'd probably
figure something
invite
out.
Leslie too, but he'd
We'll
probably
figure
invite
something
Leslie
out.
first.
Absolutely.
You already did.
And what are you
So
doing
now
next
he's gotta
weekend?
catch
You
up.
going to sit home, pop some firecrackers?
No, I'm not a fireworks guy. Never really have been much of a fireworks guy.
We used to do
I've got idiot neighbors.
We used to do the bottle rockets back in my day,
Mhm.
and we used to take the little 6-ounce Coke bottles,
Yeah.
put them on the ground, put a bottle rocket in it, light it, and psh, away it'd go.
I lived in a neighborhood where there were two fireworks crazies, and they would do bottle rockets, and they would also do those mortars,
Yeah.
and they would do them in these tubes, and eventually the tubes would kind of lean over, and we would fire over two houses to get to them, and they would fire back at us,
How fun.
and that's when we went inside. and
Great
came back
ideas.
out.
Break now. We'll right back with the wrap-up of today's show. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show on iHeartRadio. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Well, that's a wrap for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. When you're online, follow our Facebook page, give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk if you would, please.
Sure.
We're really depending on you to help us get the word out. Then isn't that what car people really do? Mm-hmm. We promise to keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing events, and other informative and entertaining car and truck goodies, at least we think it is. You can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and our live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Time. Daily 30-minute podcasts available on your podcast channel that you use. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley. Our Marketing Advertising Advisor and Video Technical Director is We Need More Jeff Zekin. The Booking Agent and Thumb Twiddler, Mike Mars. Mr. Know-It-All, His Royalty King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Please join us for our next live In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, Saturday, July 1st, 2023, on all of our In Wheel Time Car Talk outlets. Right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network, 8 to 11 Central. Have a great weekend. Stay cool. And so long for now. Bye-bye.